Welcome back to Secret Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. My name's Lauren.
And I'm Frank.
And today, we are going to be celebrating. We are marathoning. We are digging into the grand finale of Wizard's First Rule. Yeah!
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah!
Chapter 49.
49.
The last. The final.
The ultimate.
It's the big one.
And you could tell. The tone is that this is the big chapter.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
so many things just wrap up.
We decided to end as we began in chapter 1. Richard and Kaylin.
Yes.
Here today.
Your heroes.
And we are in the Garden of Life for those of you who can see us. We have some beautiful foliage around us to get us in the headspace they were in.
Just surrounded by nature and the beauty and splendor of it all.
Yeah, when they experienced true love's kiss.
Yes.
They were surrounded by these plants.
They were.
And they did it in such a splendorous locale. But perhaps the morality of that locale is in question.
So many things are in question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are in question.
Everything.
How did we feel about the final chapter?
It was dookie, in a way.
Dookie.
Dookie.
That's what you're going to give it?
I give
Just
it
dookie.
Well, if we go down to the bottom of my notes, the last thing I wrote is "and that sucked."
Oh my god!
So
it did.
It sucked. It sucked. So much build up, so many people, so many, not too much world building, but like lots of stuff, and then then it ended.
Yes, I would say that I want to give it some grace, not a lot, but a bit. Just in the sense that perhaps we would have been mildly more entertained had we not very much so known how this, like, what the solution was going to be. I still don't think I would have been that happy, but it could have been a little more entertaining, right?
For sure. But one thing that it does do is it has a momentum to it that does kind of make me want to be like, all right, Stone of Tears chapter 1.
That's what
immediately.
I'm going to say. Let's give it some credit, because I'm sure we're not going to give it all that much credit as we go. But it literally did make me want to keep going.
I know.
Which I'm like, how did I fall for it? It's so transparent.
It's not. Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
It's so transparent, but I'm still like, oh, well, I got to read that soon.
Every 90s movie ended with a similar thing, and you knew that it was going to be a trilogy because you were like, oh, they just want us to keep coming back. And we did. And we do.
I guess you're right. So I still have that 90s child in me.
Everyone does.
Right.
The 90s child lives in all of us. And and they love when the dragon just swoops in to say, oh, my baby.
Sure.
We got to get to that.
We got to get to a lot.
Oh, God.
I want you all to know that I generally, when we take notes for the episodes, mine are usually around 5 to 6 pages per, like, 1.5 to 2 hour episodes.
Yeah, Laura, what do you got now?
I have written 15 pages of notes for this.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how long this is about to take us.
Oh, man.
Ooh, there's so much to discuss.
So much. And, I can't wait. I'm very excited. There's so many.
You don't have to wait too long. It's going to happen right now. First line is, we begin in the Garden of Life. Biblical.
You see it. You feel it. You smell it.
Well, we start literally by line 2. I have much to say, because you know what happens right away as they step into the Garden of Life?
Tell us. What
Zed
happens?
knew immediately that something was wrong. There was no doubt all 3 boxes were in the room. He had been wrong. I'm adding that inflection. He had been wrong. Rahl did have all 3. So now I need to backtrack.
Yeah.
Because I spent a long time
I know.
at the end of last episode
being wrong.
Yeah, because no part of my mind
Insane.
would have accepted the idea that Zed said, I feel 3 boxes, and then...
When are you going to learn?
I don't know. I don't know that I can. Like, I'm incapable. My brain could not accept that there was a chance he said, yes, I have felt 3 boxes, and...
Take a good look at that man.
And that doesn't mean that there are 3 boxes. So when he
take a good look.
Talked to Kaylin and said he only has 2 boxes, he wasn't lying. He was wrong, even though he said there's 3 boxes.
It's like when he felt the underworld magic on them, but then what is this underworld magic?
This is like its own rule. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, this isn't even a wizard's first rule, because nobody was even trying to trick you or lie to you. You just, like...
This isn't wizard's first rule.
No, but, like, it's its own...
This is, like, logic's first rule. You can't just be wrong about the thing that you said you were noticing and then forgot to notice.
Like, to me, it's literally like he walked into a room and was like, there's a bear. And then he, like, turned around and was like, there's no bear in here.
New chapter. The bear tore into me. I guess I was wrong.
Like, that's how much sense this makes
like
to me.
A clever author.
You saw it. You knew it. What do you mean you were wrong?
A clever author can sow seeds of doubt in an audience.
Yeah.
To make you think that a narrator is incorrect about something that they are reporting to you. This is just not that. This is
what the fuck
I think this was his attempt to do that. But it's like Zed literally said, I feel 3, not 2.
3.
There's only 2. There was 3. What are you doing?
You're trying to convince me that, like, he can't be wizard first rule, which is essentially just I can't be lied to and I can't be tricked. But you can not understand really basic things that you are not even getting tricked about. Like, if you can't figure this out, what do you mean you can't be tricked?
There's nothing to figure out. He said, I felt the magic. It's more than 1 box. It's more than 2 boxes. It's feeling an awful lot like 3 boxes. And then didn't go, maybe he has all 3.
I couldn't come up with a singular good reason this would make any sense, but...
like, you could have just... That whole scene could have just been... It felt more powerful than it should. Zed couldn't figure out what that could mean.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to do. But to say it felt 3 times as strong... And then immediately be like, well, that's because there's 3 boxes. And him being like, I had no idea.
But Zed does this a lot. Zed does things like this a lot.
Zed sucks at being the best wizard in the fucking world.
Because it is the same as the underworld thing. Like, Zed constantly, Terry's writing him in this way where he's going, I recognize blank thing. And then 3 pages later is going, I can't believe this thing is happening. And you're like, but you said it. You knew it.
I think it's Terry struggling with he has 2 ideas in his head, where one is it's boring if characters are always on top of things.
Sure.
Because if they can't be surprised, tricked, whatever, then there's no growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no challenge. But then he also wants him to be the smartest, bestest, coolest, wizard around. So then he makes him notice and then fail anyway, which makes him look totally incompetent.
Combination. All you have to do is make him good most of the time, surprisingly so, to a degree that you're like, wow, that is a very competent man. And then when something is uniquely challenging, uniquely difficult, he fails.
Which we get into it in this chapter.
Yes.
Darken Rahl is
on top
insanely
of
good at magic. So like it wouldn't have been hard for him to be like, I couldn't see it coming.
Yes.
But then you make him see it coming and then not get ready for it at all and then fail to it. It just makes Zed look like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah,
which
him and Chase.
Him shoveling food into his mouth. And Chase is like just a guy at this point. So like
at least
I give him passes.
I don't. He's supposed to be way more on top of his shit than just a guy.
Sure, but he's not the premier wizard of the world. You know what I mean?
Hear me out. Like, the premier wizard of the world does not even necessarily have to equate to, like, smartest man in the world.
No.
But you told me that is what it meant.
Exactly.
You put that on him.
We're working with your rule set.
Right. You could be like, he's so powerful. It doesn't mean he's that smart. But you said he also is the smartest man. So I don't know.
Listen, Zorander Blood has a lot of high quality attributes associated
Only
with it.
positive.
Only positive. Let's get there.
Yeah, So he senses that something else other than there being 3 boxes is also out of place, but he can't tell what it is because his power is being subdued. They come up to a grass lawn. Across the way, there's the circle Darken Rahl has of sorcerer's sand. Zed's like shook by this. He has never seen this much sorcerer's sand in his life.
Seems cool.
He said he's only ever seen not more than a pouch full. And he finds it hard to take his eyes away from the lore of it. There were a couple of things about the way Zed was written in this chapter that I did like.
Yep.
It's so hard to have that. It's like the things I dislike are so much louder than the little things I like.
I know.
But I did like it. I liked Zed's almost like hungry wizard power desire.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's cool. And Sorcerer's Sand becomes very important for like the next couple of books.
All right.
I know the Sisters of Light and Dark. Like a lot has to do with them. And
can't wait to see them. Are they dominating people?
Would you believe it? Yes.
That's crazy.
Would you believe they drag Richard around on a collar for like
no way
chapters and chapters and chapters until he coup de grace them for no reason at the end?
All women, other than like the peasants who are just irrelevant, really,
and stupid
and powerless.
Bad. Yeah.
All the women are just so...
Well, he's a rare and special man, so we need to collar, chain, and drag about rare and special men. That is what women like to do.
There's a sacrificial altar behind it. The 3 boxes we're ordered in are sitting on it all with their covers removed, black as midnight. So then we see Darken Rahl. Darken
Rahl. He's just sitting there.
Standing in front of the boxes. So, yes. I guess we don't know if it's Darken Rahl or Richard right away.
Yeah.
We're unsure. But then knowing how everything's going to go, you're relatively quickly like, yeah, that's Richard.
Oh, no.
With his enemy web.
Yeah.
Kaylin is staring at him, and Zed's like, oh, she might be able to kill him. Probably not, but it's like the only shot we have. So, I mean, okay, we did, by making Zed this stupid, at least get rid of my criticism that I was like, why wouldn't he let her try to kill him? He will. But it does require me to say Zed knows how to count and then forgot that counting means things, and that's almost worse. So
especially in a chapter all about counting. Which we're going to get there.
You would say it is, right?
I have a weird overarching theme to this chapter, and I don't know what it means, but it is... So we're in the Garden of Life, which is obviously evoking the Garden of Eden, the beginning, roots, childhood, whatever. And a lot of the elements to this final confrontation are childlike, and that's kind of weird. We are counting shadows. We are playing in the sand.
Whoa.
We are... like.
we have our blocks.
We have our blocks. It's very weird.
Whoa.
I know.
That's bizarre.
This is some like Freudian stuff. Like this is almost like evoking. They have
their blocks. They love counting with their blocks. I made the joke last time.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I'm playing with my blocks.
And 1, 2, 3 becomes very important.
1, 2, 3. I'm playing with my blocks.
Yeah.
Is what's going down here.
I know.
Sand.
They're in the garden.
Castles in the sand.
They're drawing in the sand. They're just tracing and like just being like almost
what
like...
What else?
I mean, that's enough. That's enough to be weird. I don't know what that means. I don't know what Terry was trying to get across, but...
Do we even know if Terry knows? There is a lot of like parent-kid themes happening. Yeah. There's like Darken Rahl doing what he's doing because of his dad. Richard's doing what he's doing because of his dad. And then also his dad.
Zed doing what he's doing because of his son and grandson, or you know what I mean, like his daughter and grandson. And I don't know.
Caitlin, I don't know, we don't give her too much.
She doesn't have much agency other than being sad and then very horny.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I can understand.
It's the life of a girl. It's
the life of a girl. You know how it is.
Kaylin tells Zed and Chase to wait, and she's gonna walk on over to Darken Rahl. And Chase says, "What are we going to do if this doesn't work?" And then Zed says, "We are going to die." Okay.
Defeatist. Come on.
Zed feels kind of hopeful because Darken Rahl looks scared when Kaylin's approaching him. I do wonder, is Terry hoping we forgot again about the wizard's
the enemy web? Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. You think he wants us still at this point to be thinking like, that is Darken Rahl? Because it's like but buddy, I remember your plot. So Darken Rahl looks scared, and then lo and behold, Darken Rahl / Richard pulls out the Sword of Truth. So I guess that was supposed to be our moment.
So now
to
we
go,
know
like,
for sure definitively.
right, but again, I do get, like, I think a lot of us read this when we were younger, and I probably didn't know.
Well, it's just like, there is always the doubt. Because you're like, they're seeing Darken Rahl. Is it Darken Rahl? You know?
Yes, you question
and
it.
why is Richard in the middle with all the boxes? Like,
Well,
there's a
who
moment where you're like,
knows?
that could be him. I
No,
don't know.
it could be Darken Rahl, but you were questioning it. I do feel like maybe when I was a teenager, though, I was just, like, dead ass, like, that's Darken Rahl.
Damn, it's Darken Rahl. She's going to get him.
I think I might have.
Yeah.
Zed doesn't really have very much power, but he has a little bit, so he decides...
Why? Why does he have a little bit? We keep talking about how he has none,
know.
and then he has enough to do this.
So he throws out a weak lightning bolt, weaker than he wished, at Darken Rahl.
He zaps the sword away.
Yeah, all of his power is gone now, though.
He's so drained.
And Darken Rahl, once again, Richard Darken Rahl is trying to talk to them, and they can't understand him. And Darken Rahl, Richard backs into the altar and bumps up against it because Kaelin's coming at him.
Yep.
And right as he does that, he runs his fingers through his hair because he's, like, stressed out. And that's when Zed's like, wait a minute. That looks really familiar to me, that physicality.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a stretch, but I didn't think this was that bad. I'm willing to believe it because I think I'd like to believe that Zed knows of webs and such, so the combination might make him go like, oh, wait a minute.
The fact that he never questioned it before now,
Right.
the fact that none of those things shone through when they, I guess, can show through. Just from a writing perspective, the enemy web sucked.
I hated the concept... Okay, yeah, I guess I didn't want it to be an enemy web. If he had just been like, this would have worked for me. If he was like, I'm going to put a visual spell on you so you look like me, I would have been like, that's fine.
Yeah.
To say, once again, it's going to make you look like their worst enemy, as if, again, that is like, even a concept is ridiculous, makes no sense. Would you have been okay with it if he had been like, I put the Darken Rahl spell on you?
Your allies will see me when they see you, and they will hear me when they hear you.
Even that, allies, kind of gray.
No, I mean literally like those three people.
Those three, yeah, sure. But why? You don't even have to do it. Just be like, you look like me now. You look like me now to everybody. Well, because...
Scarlet then would have just let him ride.
Because of Michael, that's why. That's why.
Ew.
I know, that is why. He had to make it work like this for that plot point.
Michael...
I think we could have figured out Michael was a traitor any other way.
I think in the first chapter he appears, he's pretty traitorific, but...
Right, so he runs his fingers through his hair. That's like, that looks like Richard. Oh my god. And...
Don't zap him. Zap.
Right, it's like, Caitlin grabs Darken Rahl Richard by the throat, and the power goes off right as Zed is screaming, no! That's Richard! Yeah, again, a lot of this, I don't know how this would read if I didn't know that Richard is not going to be confessed. Maybe it would be like, oh, I thought he was.
Yeah, because he has a plan.
Right.
But you don't necessarily know his plan is to get confessed. That might have fucked up his plan. So there's a bit of stress there.
Yeah, I have no idea if I would have been like, yes, I still knew.
Because he didn't know about Condor. So he might be like, oh, I can talk to Kaelin. I could, like there's a world in which he had a plan that involved him not getting confessed.
Yeah, sure. So like, whatever. I don't know. I can't tell how I would have taken this. I definitely think first time I read it, I thought he was confessed.
I think I thought so.
As a teenager, yeah, I thought so.
Because the reason he's not is dumb, and I couldn't have predicted it. But
because as a teenager, that wasn't dumb to me. As a teenager, that made sense. Now it does not make sense.
Maybe you're right.
Right?
Yeah, I think when I was a teen, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I definitely was like, oh, yeah.
My boy figured it out. Hell yeah.
True
Look
love.
at that. Yeah, true love's first kiss.
Richard falls right onto the ground, and he says, Mistress, because...
That's what he's supposed to do.
He is acting as though he's confessed.
Yep.
He's got a lot of practice, though, at this thing, which is just kind of weird, right? He has a lot of practice at being like, sexy lady, I'm on my knees, mistress.
Whatever you want, I'll do it. It clearly is something that, he's trying to figure something out here, Terry.
Isn't he, though?
Terry's trying to figure out, like, why does love feel like submission Like, you have to figure out how to submit properly to your woman by not listening to her sometimes, but also being willing to like die for her any
yes,
day.
I agree. I see where he's like trying to go, I think, mentally, but the conclusion of it is incoherent to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think you figured it out.
No, not at all.
I see the question we're playing with, but I don't think the conclusion you're coming to is the conclusion.
You know how you'll read like a Bradbury short story and you're like, he'll like toss out this like, maybe love is this. And it's like a really complex, weird sort of little metaphor. And you're like, there's a lot to think about. He didn't give me an answer.
Yeah,
He just said, maybe it's like this.
Oh, Terry said, I have an answer.
Of course he did.
I have an answer.
This is the book of giving you the answers, bro. Like, wizards first, rule. People are idiots. Oh. Huge. True love's first kiss, real.
Enemies, real.
Allies, real.
Yeah.
Loser salute, real.
God, I can't believe it came back. I thought I was done with it.
I so can.
I thought I was done.
I am here for it.
Okay, the next part, I don't know why struck me as so funny.
Oh, I know.
Do you know
it's like the Goon Squad coming out, like...
I don't know what about this made me, like, it just struck me as so funny every time I read it. It's like the big Earth Thunder going off. They're in the Garden of Life, this amazingly beautiful, incredible place. He's on the floor, mistress. And then it's just like a door to this. Like, I'm just picturing like a little, like, classic little door. A door to the side opens and like Darken Rahl and Michael
just like
come. That's what I was like, why? That's their entrance. He has all this drama, and he's just like, there's just a weird little broom closet over there. That's like where we were.
Stage left, but it's like this fucking like little rickety door.
Yeah, I just picture this weird.
It's got vines on it, like they're coming out of the side of Omek's temple, and like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
What is that?
Picturing this little door opening. They're like, hey.
Like they've been huddling there, like looking through the little like mail slot, being like, oh, she got him. Let's go. Wait. Do I look good? Do I look good? All right.
Here they come.
Just like Michael giving like Tweedle.
At least just have them come out of like the trees or something. Why were they in there?
Make him be there and have been invisible the whole time.
That could be. I'm like picturing the Garden of Life has so many like trails and like all these trees and bushes and shrubs and flowers. Like, have them come out of a nice,
He's
beautiful...
watching from some balcony. Like,
literally,
you know what I mean? Like,
why is he in that weird
like
little
sipping
room?
lemonade. Instead, he's just like in the gruel room. Where they prep the gruel for Carl Jr.
Not described as like particularly nice.
No, it's like a dungy, rusty room, and like Darken Rahl's like, time to go.
Why are you
like,
in there?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just killing me.
It's good for It's fitting for Michael.
Here they come. They're coming. They open the little door and they're coming out, and as they do, the enemy web shimmers and Richard's true form is revealed. Kaylin sees Richard and she's horrified and she screams and her Kandar shuts off. How do we know that, though?
We're just told.
Okay.
It falters.
Well, okay. I guess you couldn't tell if you were just looking at her, but... The two guards come up, they grab Kaylin. As this is happening, Chase is trying to like run at them. Zed is also trying to go towards them, but they get trapped by invisible walls.
Yeah, Chase just gets like time stopped.
Yeah,
like,
he's frozen just like in place.
Yeah,
Zed's in like a weird little box.
A force cage, yeah.
As this happens in true Kaylin fashion, she grabs a knife from the belt of the guard and she tries to stab herself in the chest. So she's trying to kill herself, of course, though. I don't know. Yeah, who's surprised?
All she does. And then Michael steals the knife, grabs her, and then puts the knife to her throat, which I'm like, you know, I understand. I understand. It's just funny optics to be like, I'm gonna kill. No, you're not. I'm gonna kill you. And it's like, I understand why, but it's goofy.
Only doing it to utilize the threat of that at Richard. It's not because of Kaylin.
I get it.
All right,
It is still just very funny to be like, no, me.
I was like, wow, Michael's really getting his hands dirty here.
Very rare for Michael.
Didn't think
he
would.
Put his fat, chubby little fingers.
Well, it's kind of an odd choice because I was like, well, the guards are there. Why did we have Michael do this? Just once again to like make it so that Richard is justified in his absolute, no questions asked hatred of Michael. Not that any part of him is likable.
No.
But, like, you know, we're just doubling down.
Yeah. What a slime ball.
Yeah.
At the moment of truth, look at him there, doing the worst possible thing. Yeah, why is Michael such a piece of shit?
Oh, I don't know, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that before his untimely exit. But
I don't think we're getting an answer. We're never going to get an answer. He just is. He just is.
well, it's just funny when you consider his parentage.
I know.
And all. All right, so Richard flies at Michael.
Well, there's supposed to be a parallel in that Darken Rahl is the worst man, and his child turned out to be amazing. And then George is an amazing man, and his child turned out to be horrible. So as you can see, the
origin of one's birth does not determine their
nothing
path.
to do with-
Has nothing to do. Maybe if Michael was born with insane internal magical grace, maybe he would have turned out different. Who knows?
I know, right? Though.
No,
Am I right?
no,
because then he would have been Darken Rahl.
Of course.
It's kind of a inversion because you're like, okay, maybe. I wonder if did Michael know Darken Rahl was Richard's dad? Because you're like, maybe Michael was like jealous of his dad being fatherly to Richard, and then he was like, I want Richard's dad to like me best.
He couldn't know. I know. That's a good
No, I know,
thought.
but maybe that's like still what was happening.
Like subconsciously.
Yes.
Past the web.
Yeah.
Zed's web. Yeah, maybe.
He felt the genetics. Michael's holding the knife at her throat. Richard's going to fight Michael, but he also hits an invisible wall.
Another invisible wall.
I was like, how many of these are there?
They're so convenient.
Don't know. I was like, is it the same one Zed is behind?
Yeah, the wall's going like fucking Jenga wall. Like,
they tie a gag in Kaylin's mouth, which makes sense because
Yeah.
she can't command Richard to do anything. So Richard drops down to the floor. He grabs Darken Rahl's robes and he's begging him not to hurt Kaylin. Darken Rahl says he's glad Richard came back to help him. He admires his devotion to his friends. Zed's like, what is Richard gonna help him with?
Great question, Zed. I don't know how you missed this, but
Richard says, well, yeah, I don't know. Richard says not to hurt her. Darken Rahl's like, well, that's entirely up to you. And he takes Richard's hands off his robes. We gave him one little bit of his like old characterization back. Richard's like, I'll do anything. Then Darken Rahl is like, I'm sorry it has to be this way, Richard. It would have been a pleasure having you around as you were. Although you don't realize it, you and I are very much alike, but I'm afraid you have fallen victim to Wizard's first rule.
holy shit.
Which, once again, I still don't actually understand because it has never seemed like anything except lying to me.
That's all it is. It's just lying.
Which only magical people can do.
Well, yeah.
You know, whatever. They're going back and forth, but it just keeps being like, don't hurt her, don't hurt her. Then Darken Rahl does a little villain monologue turn
Weird,
here.
horny.
Yep.
Yeah.
I may even turn you into something pleasant, something you would like to be. Maybe a lap dog. I may even let you sleep in our bedchamber, so you might see that I keep my word. Maybe I will even name my son in honor of you for helping me. Would you like that? Richard Rahl, sort of ironic, don't you think? Why is that ironic?
Maybe it's subconscious. Maybe he's detecting through. It's only ironic if he knows, which he doesn't know. Terry knows.
Well, how could
The
it be
irony-
if you don't know that he's his dad and all that? What's ironic about it? He's just a guy who came to help you.
Naming your son after a guy that you were mean to is not irony. It's just
funny because
a
it's
cruel
like,
act. I don't know.
and then we keep putting the horny dog motif on Richard.
Yeah.
That is
Very Samuel coded.
Yeah, sure. But like we literally already had people
Yep.
yelling that.
Yeah, I know, and they will not stop putting leashes and collars on this man
God.
for like books and books and books. So this dude's gonna get dragged through the mud a lot.
Okay.
One other thing, so he makes the son comment, but he also licks his fingers and then runs them through Richard's hair, which is gross, but also what Zed just saw Richard do. That's how he knew it was him. So I'm like, is he trying to imply it's a genetic tick?
Yeah, but he's not running his hands through he's running his hands through his own hair.
No, through Richard's hair.
Right, but that's a totally different
It's just
thing.
Yeah, well, it is. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but kind of weird to do anyway.
Terry just like Terry writes something like that where he's like, what could the thing be? Oh, his tick is running his hand through his hair. And then he's just like, I have like running hand through hair in the back of my brain.
So I'll just use it.
Yeah, and then as he's writing, he's like, I got an idea. That. And like,
it's like Darken Rahl saw him do it. It's like, that looked nice. I want to do it. Like,
do you agree? Like, I feel like he writes a thing, then he almost like forgets he wrote that thing. It's in the back of his head as an action
thing people do, and then
he's like, oh, what should I have him do? I know that, and not even realizing it's because he just did it. Then Darken Rahl walks up to Zed.
He doesn't walk up to him. He glides over to him, which I didn't know if he was flying or not.
I don't think so.
I was like, is he like hovering? Like over?
He's just like, he's so graceful the way he walks.
Oh, all right. Yeah. That makes sense.
I guess.
I was like, he's got so much power now. Maybe he's just gliding around.
He's licking his fingers and eyebrows. I guess I kind of like this because he's about to discuss like, hey, you set me on perpetual fire as a child, and that is why he developed
rough thing to do. Yeah.
the tick. So like thinking about it might make him do it more.
Yeah.
So he asks Zed his name. He says his full name, Zu'l, and he says, I am the one who killed your father. How does this like spell work? If he says his name, it overrides them.
Well, later he breaks the web.
I understand, but right now he has
Yeah,
not.
I think him confessing it to Darken Rahl lets him know
maybe.
the name.
Fine,
yeah.
I'll take that. So Darken Rahl says, and do you know that your wizard's fire also burned me? Do you know it also almost killed me when I was but a child? And that I spent months in agony, and that to this day I carry the scars of what you did, both those on the outside and others on the inside. Zed,
very self-aware for a villain.
Yes, right, it is. Says, I'm sorry I hurt a child, regardless of who the child was, but in this case, I would call it premature punishment. How do we feel about that?
I don't know what its intention is. I think it's because Terry feels very uncomfortable making his hero be comfortable hurting a kid. So he makes him waffle on it.
Yeah.
But he can't have both. You're either like, and I wish it killed you because you're clearly the worst person ever. And
we know why he can't think that. He can't wish that.
Well, and he says that.
Yes,
he has that thought in a little bit. But it's kind of like, I don't know. If you know this is what the kid... I don't know. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
I'd be curious. Like, what it brings up for me is that I go... Before all of this... I mean, I guess Zed didn't know, right? He didn't know that he did that accidentally to the kid when he was fighting Penis.
He didn't intend to do it.
No, he didn't intend to. I understand. But I don't even think he knew it happened. Yeah. It sounds like.
Sure, yeah.
Potentially.
I'm sure he heard about it at some point. But.
Probably. But I'm like, what was Zed's feelings pre-Darken Rahl, like, taking over when he was... Say Zed heard about this when Darken Rahl was currently writhing in bed at, like, 11 years old. Did he feel bad?
I don't know. Considering at least what we hear about what happened to Zed, his daughter, his wife. Yeah. I can't imagine feeling that bad. Especially if there's a long line of evil wizards.
Well, his daughter, though, that wouldn't have happened yet. Because Darken Rahl is like a little
His
kid.
wife, well, I don't know when that happened.
I don't know when that happened, but...
Yeah, maybe...
I don't know. I get that it is complicated, right? It's a complicated thing morally. Although this book likes to randomly say, like, no, it's not. Never do that, except...
What does premature punishment mean?
Right, because that's the thing. There's a weird loop here where you go... He's saying, like, you were going to be bad no matter what.
Yeah.
So now that you're bad, I don't feel bad that I did a bad thing to you as a kid. But then it does, of course, call into question, would he be as bad as he is?
If you didn't literally make him go through the torture and agony at a young age.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I
don't know. But, yeah, maybe he would have done it anyway.
He probably would have.
Right.
But...
It's hard to know. Little weird.
And he probably got a little bit more sadistic and twisted.
You'd think.
Yeah, because,
potentially.
Having your dad melted in front of you is one thing. Having your dad melted and then you, for like 8 months, have like your skin sloughing off. Like, that's worse.
I know.
I don't know.
And so it's like, do we ever get to question, like, hey, Zed, did Zed's actions contribute in any way to the conclusion of this?
Not really.
I don't know. Are we supposed to dwell on that?
I don't know. It's so confusing because you got characters like Zed who are he refuses to let be morally gray, but they're constantly doing these big morally gray things. And then you'll have characters like Richard who I can even appreciate theoretically.
Yeah.
He's the seeker. He has the sword of truth. He's an arbiter of truth, and he is such a like innocent, goody two shoes boy a lot of the time that he's trying to do all these idealistic but impossible things in a real world.
Sure.
But it's just not handled cleverly or like delicately enough to get those things across. So then you get Richard arbitrarily drawing lines where Terry felt like they should be based on his own narrative that he's making up. And it's still inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because of course it is.
The funniest thing though, I was like doing a little bit of objectivist research, like Ayn Rand research, just because I was like really trying to puzzle this all out in my brain.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get the theory of like, there's like a rationality and some objective truths that you have to be beholden to, and you should always be trying to figure those out.
I agree.
And I guess, I don't know if I agree or disagree, but like there's something about that that's definitely accurate and I agree with. But when I read this book, especially like this last chapter, I'm just like, I think you think that's what you're making the characters do. But to me, it's actually like, this could not be further from that. Like, you're actually just doing it so deeply wrong.
Yeah.
None of this is objective. The things you're stating are objective truths that you've come to are not. They're not. You're doing it wrong. Darken Rahl is he's confronting Zed about burning him. Zed is just saying, like, well, you turned out to be a bad man, so it was okay, I guess. But also, I'm sad because you were a kid. I guess that's kind of could be the complex way you feel about it.
Yeah, a little non-committal.
Darken Rahl says, well, we're going to have a long time together and I'm going to put you through all the pain you put me through and worse. Zed says, nothing could match the pain you have already given me. Now, granted, knowing all the stuff about his daughter coming up and whatever, I see why he is so deeply impacted by the pain Darken Rahl has given him. But, again, I don't get, this feels deeply unobjective to me. Objectively, you will maintain that same level of pain Darken Rahl has given you, and then he will torture you on top of it, which is, of course, worse than...
While inflaming, reminding you, and constantly bringing up that pain.
I am positive it could be worse.
This book is filled with 120 pages of Richard saying nothing's going to get me down and then folding immediately and being dragged through the worst pain possible. Zed's got like 20 minutes, I feel like. Yeah,
I just don't...
We're all tough till we're getting our skin melted off by magical fire. I don't know. How tough's this guy?
The logic... Again, let's be... Yeah, we're so logical. Yeah, logically... Him torturing you with melting wizard fire is not going to take away the existing pain of everything that happened to your family. You will maintain that, and then you will have your skin melted off. I promise it's worse than when you're sitting in the dining hall eating your spice soup, Zed.
And Zed's got, I don't know, KO'd twice with like a breeze and can't go 45 minutes without like his blood sugar dropping. So I don't know where the toughness is coming from.
That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to me.
No. And I get it. It's this machismo like thing, but it's also like this, it's like mixing cool macho character man who's just like, I have this like iron wall up to like people like you'll never get one over on me. And also this emotional core of being like, my heart is the most pained thing possible. And now when you mix them, you get what you said. Darken Rahl says, we will see to that. And he's right.
I agree with Darken Rahl. Okay, here. Zed yells at Richard, like, don't help him. Kaelin would rather die than have you help him. Richard's got his plan, right? So he has to ignore this to make it go off. So he ignores Zed. He tells Darken Rahl he'll do whatever he wants. So then Darken Rahl asks him to recount the Book of Counted Shadows. We're here. It's happening. Zed is shocked. He's like, why would Richard know this book? What does that even mean?
It is a good question. It's like, how in the world did this woods guy learn this crazy magic book?
So Richard
but he did.
Says, Mistress, what should I do to Kaelin? She can't answer because of the gag. I don't know. I guess it's just trying to prove that he's confessed. Darken Rahl tells him to start reciting or Michael will cut off her fingers. Then we get our beginning of the book, verification of the Book of Counted Shadows, blah, blah, blah.
You know, I just thought of this. If Michael had cut off a finger or two, it would have added a lot of dramatic stakes. And Zed can, in fact, just grow them back.
That's true.
So we should have done that.
Might as well. I
It's
guess
kind of
Kaylin's
cool.
already kind of been through it, though.
For sure, but it's cool to do. Like, I don't know, if you're going to threaten it, and you can just grow them back. You grew Addie's whole foot back in like 45 minutes after a rouse around the bedroom.
Why'd you include that?
It comes back. Because it comes back. We end the book on that.
It's the last line.
I know.
Who knew?
Zed getting his dick wet is like the fucking cornerstone of this book. I don't know why. Yeah. Richard starts blabbing.
Zed realizes it's definitely the real book because he recognizes the unique syntax of a book of magic.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
We go into it a little. I wrote that too,
yeah.
and then we get a little. I'm like, meh.
I did, yeah. That was another one that's similar to recognizing Richard's hair.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, all right, sure, yeah, maybe.
Magic is just legit. Like, it's just coding. Like all these things that are like,
yeah.
I knew it was magic because the special zip file. You know, like
we gotta bring those back. Bring back those zip files.
we gotta.
We mentioned them. Yeah, Zed's like, it's over. It's done. Darken Rahl won. That's it. But then he's like sitting, he's listening to Richard recite it, and he's like, you know what? Only one with the gift could keep these words in his head. And I was going to get really irritated because I was like, do not even tell me that memorization is magic in this world now.
It is.
But not really, because the way that it works is like in the book.
There's like cluster words that like blow up the knowledge if you don't have magic.
Yeah, if you're not magic, it will just like wipe your memory of the book, which that's fine. I accept that answer.
It's a scrubber spell.
And then he's like, oh, Richard was born into magic. The prophecies foretold it, even if he hates it. Although I'm like, did you need the prophecies to confirm this, knowing that he is of your lineage? He could have just been magic without a prophecy, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
Okay, well.
and I think it's ridiculous that he didn't at least check. Why wouldn't you just check when he's like a baby, being like, he has it?
I don't know how you check.
I can't imagine it's a fucking like you gotta steal blood or something. I think you could probably just do a little.
I think it might be like you have to see it in action, and in order to get him to put it into action, you have to tell him to do it.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, Zed's like, he's like, mourns the things he has done. Those born into magic are vulnerable when they're young, like Darken Rahl. And
yeah, I guess.
Zed
to fireballs, yeah.
Had deliberately chosen not to teach Richard because he wanted to protect him, and he wanted to teach him how to use magic when he was older and stronger. And I wrote, maybe like on a trip like this. maybe on a trip like this where he could really use some magic to help.
On his first Rumspringa from home, where you're just like
this could have
going
been
on a magic journey. Maybe.
This could have been a good time bringing him into the Midlands to teach him that.
I threw a sword at him that could turn him into Samuel, and I just didn't say anything. I kept my trap shut.
He's like 20-something, and you need him to go do something really dangerous. I think while you were traveling, you could have said, hey, Richard, when else was he waiting for? How was this not the time? The day Kaylin showed up, and they had to go through the boundary, why was he not like, buddy, you have magic, let me try and teach you some while we're traveling?
I don't know. Also wild of Zed to be like, boundaries up, I'm going on that side where no magic's allowed. I have tons of magic myself.
I guess he didn't use it, but he did.
He was like stirring soup and shit. And
he was on his rock. He was talking to ghosts.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
Zed guessed that he had always known Richard had the gift was someone special. Everyone who knew Richard knew he was someone special. Rare. The mark of magic. Now, would have loved to have seen that in any instance other than Denna and Scarlet. Would have loved to have seen that when Richard, we had a whole prelude where Richard is in Westland. He's at Michael's party. Why did we not get a sense that any motherfucker there thought Richard was special? Because I most certainly did not get that.
Bad people No, I don't. It doesn't matter. Yeah, because Darken Rahl even thinks it. Fucking Shota clearly wanted his approval. Like,
right. So I'm like, why not at that party kind of have it be like people are coming up to Richard and like clearly he holds. And this would help Michael's characterization too, right? Michael's like, I want to be the first counselor. I want to be in charge. I want to be special. And then say like, Richard doesn't even do much, but like people keep coming up to him and being like, "Oh, this guy, this is our man, Richard." Yeah. And then you're like, "Ooh, Michael's jealous. That's why he does what he does and acts out."
No, because we don't want to normalize Michael. We don't want to make him actually a character. We don't want his jealousy, because Michael having jealousy at Richard getting all like positive attention from people, putting in no effort, is reasonable because Richard is born special and with magic.
Right.
And now Michael being like angry is like deplorable, but also like you're like, oh, well, you're just a bad person like who
Aunt Petunia, right? Yes. You're like, oh, she's bitter and angry, and you kind of start to be like, ooh, I kind of get it when you think about having this beautiful sister,
magical
who
sister
is
that
magical,
everybody loves,
and you don't get to go to wizard school, you don't get magic. You're like, damn, yeah, you might be like really bitter. Angry and jealous.
I get it.
Anyway, I think that could have worked for Michael, but I also just think that would have just helped us at least prove that people feel that way about Richard. I've never seen it. It doesn't seem like his life in Westland was ever set up where he is sociable, where anybody gives a fuck about him. Where
he's hanging out in the woods. He lives in a tiny
anything. Who thought he was special? The only time he's been special has been these dominatrix women in the Midlands.
Listen, sometimes you got to find your found family, all right?
Just sometimes, a bunch of redheaded hotties, okay?
Sometimes your found family wears leathers. And
they all have red hair,
and they can't wait to shove their angels in places they shouldn't, and that's it, you know,
particularly in your ear.
Sometimes somewhere else, but
well, anyway, so that's annoying. Then it does get all stories like this.
Yeah, it's
a very weird tightrope to walk and make it work with the you are special because you were born genetically incredible and better than everybody else with magic. I've definitely read things where it works, right?
Yeah,
I've definitely read things where like it feels okay to me, but then you do run this risk of alienating your audience,
of course,
where you go like, well, could I even be good but with your messaging? Because like it seems like Richard's only capable of reaching these heights due to something that's just out of our control.
Well, it's a little bit like the Spider-Man thing, right? Like with great power comes great responsibility. These people who
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Really?
It's Uncle Ben. That's his speech before he dies. But it's like, yeah, when you have these super special characters that are born just blessed and everyone's fucking loves them, the way you balance that is by giving them a lot of stress and pressure.
Well,
where
Richard has that.
He does, but he never he doesn't wear it other than getting a migraine. And this is the first book, so like he's got time to grow.
See, I don't.
The problem is,
it feels different to me. It just, I don't even know why. Yeah, like why does Spider-Man feel different to me? It just does. I don't feel like Spider-Man is not saying Peter Parker only is likable, special, intelligent, like it's just like you're a normal guy, you're as good as everybody else, and then you were given an extraordinary power, and now you can utilize that tool to use those good qualities to do more things. This has a different feeling to me. He's saying like even outside of the power has somehow made your non-powered attributes better than other people's. That bothers me.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like Peter Parker, you're like, he is, I feel like they go to great lengths to be like, he's just a boy.
He's a normal guy, yeah.
Yeah, like he's funny, he's quirky, maybe he gained a little boost of confidence because he's got these powers.
Well, suddenly he gets abs and yeah.
But you're
can't
like,
get bullied anymore.
Oh, the qualities of like, that he already had, like everyone else, of wanting to help, he now can do that extra. We're acting like Richard wants to help people even more than the average person because he's special from the magic.
Yeah.
That is what bothers me.
That's true.
Right? Those are different.
Yeah, like Scarlet goes out of her way to say, no other human would do what you've done.
That's what I'm saying.
And he's like, I did it because I'm who I am, and what you are is just a special boy.
That's
where it's like
an annoying message.
Everything that Richard has done that someone is like, you are so rare for doing that. It's like, I might have done it.
That's what I'm saying.
And I don't even got the gift.
Right. Like other stories are giving you this person just has all the normal positives and negatives of other human beings, and then what will they do with those qualities once given the power? Richard, it's like his literal actions outside of the magic are attributed to him being extra good because he has magic. Yeah. And I just don't, I'm like, well, that's unrelatable.
Yeah.
In a variety of ways.
I agree. But it ties into doing it the other way, making Richard actually special, which is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Shits in the face of
what?
Whatever. Spits in the face.
Spits
in the face of his message that objectivism and the common man can be better if only leaning on their goodness. Richard's goodness is for some reason just like amplified because he's just a regular guy.
Everyone knew Richard was someone that everyone who knew Richard knew he was special. The mark of magic. So the only reason he has these good qualities, everyone goes like, "Wow, I feel drawn to you. You make such nice choices.
I know.
You're honorable." It's because he has magic.
From this book to Faith of the Fallen, though, we will attempt to transmute this message.
Okay.
That Richard is special because he has magic.
Yes.
And everyone treats him that way, and he glitters everybody's eyeballs because of just the magic that he was innately born with, which is more special and more better than everyone else. Like, he's got war magic. He's got all these he's just like so souped up. To your life is your own. Every common man has the same gifts I do.
How do those things
you can't
go
do
together?
Both. They're not true.
Because I'm like, Chase seems to have all the positive qualities Richard has, right? For the most part, like in terms of being like, I'm brave, I'm taking care of my family.
Adopts kids on a whim.
Yeah, like he seems to have every nice special thing you could say about Richard. I'm like, does Chase not have that? He does. But we are saying that nobody recognizes him as special because he doesn't have magic.
Yeah. Correct.
That's weird.
I know. And in 4 or 5 books, we will turn that concept into Richard's just like anybody else. He's just magical.
Okay, well, maybe he dwelled on it and was like, actually, I don't like that conclusion, and he tried to change it.
Then write another book series because you started this one with that idea.
I'm okay with that. It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but okay. If you really think on what you've written and you're like, honestly, that doesn't work for my message.
The problem always ends up being with these books is like, there's no space for Richard to be wrong. Like Richard.
Are you sure though?
We'll find out.
Like I don't know. That is that is the thing.
The space exists for us outside of the book. There's no room in the book for someone to be like, yeah, you're building these statues and telling us we could do it, but you were born mad. No one's gonna say that to Richard ever.
They must. That must come up.
All right. We'll see. That's not the tone.
So Zed cries, recalling the good years with Richard when someone had loved him and was his friend.
What the fuck did this whole paragraph mean?
I'm not sure. And I'm also like, it's your grandkid. He's not your friend.
Weeps at the time they had, some of the best in his life, without magic, where people loved him without fear.
I guess
he was married. Do you not count the times in which you were married? Was your wife afraid of you? Was your daughter afraid of you?
Yeah, I know. I was like, your kid.
Your best times are hanging out with your grandson, who you didn't even tell you're his grandpa.
And also, like, this anti-magic. It's so weird to go off the back of like the reason Richard is so special and amazing is the mark of magic. Blah blah blah, and then be like, best times of my life, we're getting the fuck away from all that.
There is something interesting about magic. A lot of these stories, I just watched Frieren, which is like a very magic-based anime, and a lot of stories like this love to dabble with, like, is magic good?
Yeah.
Do we love magic?
That's fair,
Is
though.
magic just a natural force? Is magic, like, something special for, like, us to, like, dwell on? And it's like, yeah, I just feel like Terry is unsure as to how he feels about magic.
But maybe everybody is, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, but I guess he loves it and hates it, but I don't think we're ever going to like mix that oil and water for some reason.
So Zed's so impressed that Richard remembers everything in the book so perfectly.
Yapping.
He's reciting things that they already like know and don't really need, like getting rid of the covers, but Darken Rahl is like, read it all. Then, God, this takes a long time. The afternoon keeps going. It's taking a really long time to get through the books. Zed's like, there's so many steps to this. It's going to take all night.
It's weird, because this entire book up until now, we have been under the idea that Darken Rahl needed to open this box on the first day of winter.
I know. I'm so confused by this.
But
I thought
really, the process of opening the box takes 36 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
And as long as he started it on the first day of winter, he's good.
Well, I was confused because it said that, like, the boxes need to be hit by the dawn of the first day of winter, but that has already happened.
I think they were. They did.
Because he had them out.
They were out.
Okay.
He was doing
That makes
stuff
sense,
already. So
yeah,
the spell's in process.
Right.
Maybe they were in that room, like, chowing down on some gruel while they were waiting for the next phase.
You'd think Darken Rahl, he has this beautiful garden. You'd think he'd have, like, a nice lounge or something.
With some,
in
like,
there.
tea sets and stuff. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Each box casts a different shadow. So if you've been wondering what the Book of Counted Shadows means, here you go. You will find out.
See, this is my foolishness. This is my, like, idiocy.
So similar
I have
to
read
what
this
I
book
do,
twice.
right?
What?
It's like me thinking that Zed surely knew there were 3 boxes.
Correct. Yeah. I thought, because the Book of Counted Shadows is a dope name.
Yeah.
Like, when I read it, the first time I read it, all the way through, this time that I read it, I'm like, that name slaps.
Mm-hmm.
What is this book? I want to know everything about it. It's such a cool name. But the fact that the Book of Counted Shadows is just a book to help you count shadows.
He's crazy.
No, it's so fucking in line for this man.
Oh, well, in
it's
that
so
sense,
exactly along his naming conventions, and I didn't see it coming again somehow. I'm fucking
He fooled
I
you.
am
fooled
livid
you.
at myself for thinking it would be anything other than
Counting
a book that
shadows.
helps you count shadows.
And
I
it's
am
not even counting them. They're
furious.
not terribly complicated either. It's just 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1. It is not anything more than that.
That's it.
And his father taught him how to count. That's another
Right.
that's another thing.
Daddy came and said,
Daddy.
"Baby Richie, 1, 2, 3."
You think he called him
1,
Baby
2,
Rich?
3. Each box casts a different shadow as the sun sets. The fingers of the shadows, I thought that was a weird way to describe it, grew away from each box. One cast a single finger of shadow. Another cast 2 fingers of shadow. The third cast 3. If you wouldn't believe it, you guys.
Would not
if you
believe
wouldn't
it.
believe it, that's how it works. Now he knew why it was called the Book of Counted Shadows. I don't know, the idea of Zed being like, smartest wizard in the world. You guys wouldn't understand the complexity of what this man is doing in Idendrill. And then he's sitting there going like, 1, 2, 3. That is it. Okay.
And also
okay.
he now knew what
That's
it meant is like that's for the audience, and it's insane for Zed to even consider it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just him as a wizard being like, oh god, I figured it out.
So fucking good. Oh my god. I never knew.
Okay.
I've heard of that book, but who could have known you were actually counting shadows?
All right, girl. Whatever.
It almost would have been funny if he was just like, oh, I guess I was overthinking it.
Literally.
But no, Terry actually thinks these are good names.
He was like, oh, hell yeah. So Darken Rahl starts drawing enchantments in the Sorcerer's Stand based on what Richard is describing. Zed has never heard of any of these enchantments, but Rahl obviously did. And it gets dark. He lights the torches around the sand. I liked picturing, I was like, oh, that's creepy imagery for the room, what I'm imagining. But I was like, I wish we spent a lot more time building up ambiance here.
I agree.
Right? Like, you could have made this whole scene very tense, very creepy.
And it's not that he can't do it. He's done it.
I know.
Like,
I agree.
even the Carl chapter had, like, a lot more, like, pressure
I agree.
and, like, building.
This just did it.
This
I
was just
like,
that
was...
like, just like...
That was the only thing we were given that I was like, oh, cool. I wonder if... Could we... Please, sir, can I have some more gruel? Like, give me a little bit of the
Let
room.
me get the gruel horn.
You know, like, I don't know. I was like, damn, I would have liked for this to have felt a little creepy, a little... It just, like, didn't at all.
I know. And it weirdly, like... It's also, like, I kept imagining, like, how fucking boring it must have been. It's like, Richard, read. All right, stop. 4 hours of drawing. It's like 3 a.m. Zed's still, like, stuck in the box. Chase is, like...
We're at the... pinnacle, like we're at the apex of the story, and Terry's going out of his way to go like, it was really boring. Everyone there was bored. We're
Everyone's
so
so
bored.
bored.
Like, well, now
Doesn't
I'm
magic
bored.
suck? Like,
I was like, Jesus, what? This isn't that exciting. Yeah, I was kind of let down by how boring all of this was. Zed is impressed by the level of skill at drawing Darken Rahl has.
yep.
And he feels uneasy at seeing underworld runes. That was the closest we came to being like, that's creepy. Yeah, like, I was like, ooh, make it like, I don't know, give me like a little gothic.
Let me hear like ghost whispers and like demon chants and the fire.
Give me a really
flicker.
good,
like, I don't know.
in-depth description of like how uneasy looking at those runes makes a wizard feel.
Yeah.
Just something.
Something.
Most of this is just Zed kind of like really blandly monologuing like this happened and then this happened and then this happened and then this happened. Like,
yeah.
all right.
Okay.
So yeah, the patterns Darken Rahl's drawing are really complex. If anything's drawn incorrectly or drawn at the wrong time, Darken Rahl would die. And Zed knows wizards who have spent years studying a single spell before they go ahead and try to do this. But Darken Rahl's just doing it real casual, real easy.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of, that makes sense, like being like, I'm taking like 5 years to study, like memorize every piece of this. I like that idea.
It's very cool.
Zed says he's never seen a wizard of Darken Rahl's talents, and he thinks at least will be killed by the best. And he couldn't help admiring his mastery.
Sure.
I think that's valid.
I think it's valid. I think it's good characterization for Zed.
I think it's real. Like, that's...
Zed's very into magic.
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah, he should. You're right.
Zed's, again, just thinking. Just a lot of Zed thinking. He's like, ooh, Rahl could open a box whenever he wants, but this spell is going to tell him which one he should open. And Zed says all of this complexity is just a precaution against this magic being used all willy-nilly. I was just like, well, no shit, of course. Why else?
I have a problem with that.
Okay.
So Darken Rahl can open a box whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Because all he needed to do is get the cover off,
That's
right?
true. So you're saying like, it's not really a precaution.
Darken Rahl was able to get the cover off of one by brute force.
I don't think
The
that's
first
true.
one he got off. And
Because he read about it in like other books and stuff. Remember, he was like, Richard, you should know that there's other sources of information.
Yeah, but they made it sound like he just...
I didn't get that sense. I got the sense he read in another book and like got clues enough to figure out how to do it.
Maybe. But then you can just open a box.
I know.
So I'm like, good thing an insane person has never just gotten one.
Right. I'm like,
cracked it open somehow, and then been like...
What is the precaution if you could open it anytime?
I don't know.
It's not really a precaution.
An easy way to fix this would have been like, if you try and open one before all three are done and you finish the spell, it just kills you.
Yeah, no.
That would have been... That's
a
fine.
precaution.
That's a precaution.
Like, that's...
You got to be so ready. But no.
Yeah.
No, he could just pop a box right
So
now.
it says, Darken Rahl had been studying for this moment his whole life. His father had probably begun teaching him about this when he was young. Zed wished the wizard's fire had also killed Darken Rahl, and then he thought about it and took it back, which we know is just means because we find out Zed's Richard's grandpa, and he...
Darken Rahl's his dad, yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, okay, it's so obvious the parallels we're creating between George Richard and Darken Rahl at the same moment are doing their childhood.
Yeah.
Like, their dads have primed them.
Their whole lives
for this
cook
moment.
For one moment, yeah.
And yeah, the messaging here is interesting and confusing. Because I'm like, we just did our like parallels with like, Michael has good dad but bad man. Richard has bad dad but good man.
But Michael was raised by a
good dad and became bad kid.
Yeah. I know. I don't know.
But like, I am like, okay, by creating that parallel, that innately, like, as a reader feels to me like you want me to dwell on the feeling of like Darken Rahl in some ways was so pushed into this direction.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, I guess that's not what I'm supposed to take away.
No, I think you are. A line does come up later. I think you are.
Maybe.
But, yeah, I mean, Zed's fire and his dad's tutelage and then murder catapulted Darken Rahl to this moment.
Yeah, there is something a little sad about it.
Of course.
Right?
I don't know. Darken Rahl's, he's clearly like a sadistic evil freak, but like, I don't know, he also had a lot going against him, it seems like.
Yeah. There is something sad about him putting all these symbols in there, like doing it and being like, I've literally since like infancy been like primed.
This is all I've been doing besides
this.
torturing women and whatever else.
Yeah,
did a lot of that.
And I get it. Like, okay, it doesn't excuse it.
Sure,
but it does excuse the Mordsith. It does excuse them.
How does it excuse them?
Meaning, like, you're like, oh wow, Darken Rahl's been primed his whole life to do this bad conclusion, and then we're like, that doesn't, it's bad and it's a little sad, but it doesn't excuse the conclusion and the bad things you've done. But the Mordsith, we go, oh wow, you've been primed and abused your whole life to make you do this set of really bad things, but it does excuse you. It does excuse you.
Because you're women that are hot.
Because you're hot women.
You're hot women.
You know? Anyway. So, yeah, I felt a little, like, you know, just some surface, I don't know, maybe not surface level. I just felt this subtle sense of, like, this is kind of sad when you think about little boy Rahl, who's being indoctrinated from day one. Is the
parallel also supposed to be, like, because Penis educating him from day one, like, to take over the world.
Yeah.
With, like, negative intent, right?
Right.
So, like, he shaped him with, he gave him a goal.
Yeah.
And a purpose and, like, creed and all that. Where George Cypher took Richard, gave him knowledge, and didn't tell him what to do with it.
Yes, okay.
So,
sure.
Is there some sort of, like, implication here that a father's job is to arm your child with knowledge but not set them on a path?
But to be fair, he gave him sort of like what to do with it, just in the sense of being like, do not tell anybody. You need to, like, I don't know. It's not just like he went like, here, memorize this. I don't care. Like, do whatever you want. Like, there was like stipulations of like.
No, you're right. Huh.
Also, what did the tooth necklace have to do with anything?
It comes back.
What?
It comes back.
Did it have to do with you need the necklace to prove that you are
not his dad wasn't a thief?
That his dad wasn't a thief. What does it have to do with any of this?
I'm sure it'll be in the next book.
I don't want it to be.
Well, it will be. I know. I know that necklace comes back. I think he finds it in the river. Listen, we could only conclude so many things at the end of this chapter, all right?
Sure. So then it's dawn. The enchantments are all drawn. The boxes are placed on the enchantments in the sand and then put back onto the altar. Zed was amazed to see that the boxes that had particular numbers of shadows the day before now had different number of shadows.
Crazy.
A wizard of the First Order, surely a box having different shadows should not be amazing to you.
You know, I can't imagine.
I
think if I watched a man draw spells all night and the only thing that changes is the boxes had different number of shadows, I'd be like,
damn it.
That's what he's probably doing.
I think I would just be like, all that. And
he was working on that.
That is so boring. Why are you amazed?
I don't know.
The boxes are arranged so the one throwing a single shadow was to the left. The one throwing two was in the middle. Yeah, okay, they're in order. 1, 2, 3, got it.
No.
Got it. Also,
no. Why are you acting like counting shadows is easy business? Why are you undercutting the great ancient authors of the book of counted shadows right now in the year of 2025?
That syntax is hard to write.
It's hard to write, it's hard to read, and clearly it's hard to fucking appreciate without your level of, you're clearly not born with the gift. Keep going.
Obviously not. Okay, so then Richard reads, memorizes, recites oral traditions, the last part of the book out loud. I feel I should read it.
Yes, you should.
Unless you have it.
I did not write the whole
thing. All right.
No.
Once so arranged, Orden. What is Orden?
Ooh.
Is at the ready to be commanded, where one shadow is insufficient to gain the power to sustain the life of the player.
The player.
The player. And 3, more than can be tolerated by all life. The balance is struck by opening the box with 2 shadows. 1 shadow for yourself, and 1 for the world that would be yours to command by the power of Orden. 1 world under 1 command is marked by the box with 2 shadows. Open it to gain your reward. What is Orden?
My heart of hearts suspects that Orden is so close to order, which is the order of the counted shadows that we're putting things in. So Terry just went, I can't. Ordin.
By the power of Ordin. Who is that? What's that?
I don't know.
I can't believe we got all the way here and I've never heard a word about it. It's such a stretch, the metaphor for the shadows. 1 is insufficient to keep you alive.
3 is too much for the whole world.
3 is just too much for everyone to handle.
What are these shadows?
2, because by 1 not being enough to sustain your life, I would think 2 would be enough to sustain your life, not enough to sustain your life and the world. How does that make sense? What metric of power does each shadow hold? That's what Richard says, right?
It's giving, you will have your reward from
will
Aladdin.
Have your reward. So
your eternal reward. All right.
Darken Rahl says, go on. Richard says, rule as you choose, that is the end.
It's giving your life as your own, but keep going.
There must be more. No, Master Rahl, rule as you have chosen. That's the end. The last words. Then Darken Rahl says, did you learn it all? The entire book? He says, yes, Master Rahl. That can't be right. That isn't the right box. The box with 2 shadows is the one that will kill me. I told you I learned that much. I learned which one will kill me. I have told you every word true. Every single word. And then he says, I don't believe you. Cut Kayla's throat. This will annoy me in a pedantic sort of sense because, like, I feel like Terry really wanted to do one of those, like, gotchas where he's like, everything Richard said was technically true.
I agree. Now I'm wondering, the way you read it makes me think that maybe it is technically true.
How?
Read it again.
He says, I've told you every word true, every single word. I don't know. It's a stretch.
It's a big stretch. But also, I think maybe the wizard's first rule is the lying. So it's like, if you believe there's no way I could be lying to you.
But then if you're like, wizard's first rule, I lied. That's one thing. But Richard, it's not that. He goes like...
This is emblematic to Terry's problem with his concepts. He wants both, and you can't do both.
Well, like,
it is either 100% technically true. He didn't lie, and he's a very clever boy. Or he wizard first ruled, and he lied to you. And you believed it.
And you believed it.
Because you were being emotionally stupid and missing that there was a gap.
I still think that's a terrible framing. Makes no sense. Agree. Falling for lies isn't always a case of...
You're a big stupid. And
you're just so dumb and you didn't want to believe. No, you just, like, sometimes can't account for literally every... Imagine going through the world trying to be like, what is every option, even taking into account, like, I don't know how to explain this. It's like, you can't live like that.
No, you can't.
I can't be looking at you right now and going like, what if he's not wearing that outfit? And what if he secretly has had magic the entire time we've been together? And he actually is naked right now, but I think he's wearing certain clothing that are actually made purely out of a visual trickery. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I could do this nonstop.
Got you all.
But you get what I mean? Like, how, at what point do you stop doing that?
I don't know.
At what
when
point,
they lock you up and force Thorazine into your body because you're going
like,
insane.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
so, like, Richard should be going like, Kaylin, maybe you don't love me. Maybe actually this entire time you've been a witch who has a long-term plan to kill me. And like, and then if that were true, Kaylin would turn around and go like, Wizard's first rule, you wanted to believe we were in love, but we really weren't. And we could do this all.
False love's double-cross kiss?
We could do this all day long.
I know.
So I'm just like,
I know.
Oh, you didn't think of every iteration of insanity and then you add magic into the mix? For me, Wizard's first rule is Zed saying there are 3 boxes. I don't want there to be 3 boxes. So I will believe that there aren't. That's stupid. And you choosing to believe something you wanted despite evidence to the contrary. But going like, there was no evidence to the contrary, and you still didn't just think of this absolutely arbitrary, random happenstance that could be true, is wacky and would drive you nuts.
Yeah. Darken Rahl was supposed to be aware of the distinctly unknowable possibility that someone could, in fact, love a confessor so much that her power that is well documented and known worldwide can be overrode, which has never been known before.
By that logic, like, he could be like, Yeah, right. So like maybe she never has magic, but maybe she could do 500 confessing, and maybe she could confess that guy but not really, but maybe she could also make me turn into a chicken, or maybe she could also make all the plants in here disappear with her confessing power, because I didn't consider that perhaps
chlorophyll counteracts confession. We know that.
Right, like perhaps literally anything is possible.
Perhaps.
We watched a really good video essay by ContraPoints about conspiracy theories. You guys should watch it. It really, like, when I was watching it, I was like, this is like Terry's brain. Yeah, something about this logic is so prevalent in this book. This like conspiracy-esque thinking. That's what Wizard's First Rule feels like to me.
I agree.
It's just going like, oh, you didn't consider that, like, satellites are overhead actually controlling the wind, and like it's just like, yeah, no, you can't do that forever.
No.
And you're not stupid for not doing it.
No, you're not.
There's a balance. And
you can't know everything.
I'm convinced that Terry's a conspiracy theorist.
100%. 100,000%.
Right.
But like, yeah, all right. So at what point are you supposed to, like, you're not supposed to trust anyone.
Right.
You're, however, supposed to trust your own gut and intuition. That, like, why is...
That's not objective, by the way.
Why is Kaylin good, worthy of trust, worthy of love? Mm-hmm. Why is Zed, despite being, you know, Zed, if anything, has been your secret grandfather wizard that hid your own father from you? But we will never question
and your magic.
Maybe the entire series, if whether or not he's a good person for what he did to Richard. Like, Richard's not going to be like, Zed's actually bad. Maybe he will, but like not like permanently. He's never gonna like come to those conclusions.
Well, but you can't permanently come to that conclusion, because I don't think Zed, although I call into question his morality and how amazing he is, to the extent that Terry says, I don't think the conclusion is that Zed's wholly bad either.
No. But maybe he's bad enough that you can't trust him. But maybe Zed would agree.
Do you think?
When it's convenient. But when he needs to trust him,
no, exactly. I don't know. He will say that in certain circumstances. Yeah. And then, like, why? So Richard should think about how long Richard and Kaylin have spent together, right?
Yep.
Now, I don't have an issue with it in terms of, like, I get romance, male-female archetypes, the lovers. Okay, I can go for that. I love West Side Story. I have no problem with how quickly they're in love. But when the rest of the story, which West Side Story does not have happening, is beholden to this idea of, like, don't get Wizard First ruled, don't get tricked, don't trust people, blah, blah, blah. Why is Richard not an absolute fucking fool to trust Kaylin to this extent, given how little he knows about her?
They've been together for 3 months.
She could
and not even the whole, actually 2, because he was...
That's what I mean, like, she could be crazy. She could be evil. She could be tricking him. Should he actually willingly, at this point in the story, be giving up so much agency to her, given that that's a theme?
Apparently, yes.
No!
Apparently, yes.
That makes no sense.
True love's first kiss.
And then it does come back to, like, well, because Richard has these gut feelings about true love and this and that. Guess what that's not? Objectivism.
No.
Guess what that's not?
Guess what it is? His war magic. So it's like, it's not something everyone can do, dude.
No, not at all.
It's just his gut feelings are magical.
Right.
And helps him know truth. So that's not what normal people can do going
how
through
does
the
that
world.
resonate out to me?
It doesn't. You just need to, once again, put your head to the concrete and pray to Lord Rahl to help guide you, because he knows what's best for you.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's fucking nuts. It doesn't track. It doesn't make sense.
They have their little back and forth where Darken Rahl is like, you're lying. They told me the second box is going to kill me. That can't be the conclusion. Richard's like, it is. Then he drops to his... So then when he's like, I don't believe you, cut Kaylin's throat. Richard drops to his knees. He's like, please, you gave me your word. I told you the truth. Darken Rahl's like, I want
the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Wow. Darken Rahl does not believe him. He says he's going to cut open Kaylin. Richard still insists he's not lying. He says, last chance, Richard, tell me the truth or she dies. And
we choose truth over facts.
Richard says, I can't tell you anything differently. Anything different would be a lie. I have told you every word true. Yeah, Darken Rahl's like, okay, yeah, like I was just trying to make sure that you weren't lying.
Darken Rahl opening the wrong box kills him, saves Kaylin, right?
Yes.
So if Richard is truly confessed, lying to Darken Rahl right now to get him to pick the box in which there's only two
is actually in
Kaylin's best interest.
Yeah.
So he would do that even if he was actually confessed, which probably is part of Terry's point. But
oh god, yeah,
but you would need the confessor to be loyal to you for this to work at all.
Well, but this works, I think, right? Because he's just being like, if he's confessed, he deeply, yes, he has the incentive to lie. Mm-hmm. But then if Darken Rahl's being like, okay, if he knows he's lying and I'm going to kill his confessor, he will, at the last second, if he thinks the lie isn't working, he'll tell me the truth.
I don't know.
No, if he's actually confessed, that makes sense. The only reason he can
her living is more important than
beyond that is because he's not confessed.
I guess so. Yeah.
Right.
Because they're more like they can't think too far ahead.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
What are the extents to which a confessed person... Like, can a confessed person, like, have a deep internal, like, concept without direct orders from Kaylin to be like, this is in her best interest as far as I know?
I don't think they can think like that.
But we're not sure,
I'm
right?
not sure.
We're not sure.
So then Zed... I hated this. Zed thinks that Darken Rahl... He's like, oh, he must have found information about the Book of Counted Shadows
which we know he did.
Right,
and
from another source. And that information from that book is in conflict with the information from the Book of Counted Shadows. But this is not uncommon. When there was a conflict, the information in the instruction book for that specific magic must always take precedence. And to do otherwise was fatal. It's another safeguard to protect magic. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but... Yes, okay, go to the source material for sure. Are the magic books usually being fed to you via speech of your enemy? No. Right? I get that when I have the book in front of me and I can confirm this is the original text. I can feel the magic imprint. I have the words right here that I can see. Not when my enemy is telling me the book and I can't see shit. Right?
Well, that's why it must be verified via the use of a confessor. Which, you know, now that I'm thinking back, that was a good drop. It's a good, like, there are so many things to clean up. But, it is a good first line of that book, which you don't get to see. And hearing about it when you don't know what a confessor, like, there's so many, like, that was interesting.
That was good.
But we're calling it an instruction manual, which is insane. Like, you got it from China. It came with the booklet. And now...
I get, but I'm saying, isn't Darken Rahl kind of rightfully trying to make sure he's not getting lied to by being like, okay, I need to make sure. I'm not looking at it. But here's the thing. According to Wizard's First Rule, honestly, if you put the book in front of me and I look at it and it says that, I should go, what if?
The owner of the book glamorized it,
exactly.
so that my eyes, someone who would use it in such a way, could not perceive. Correct. So I must refract at 30 degrees. But
what if somebody came and perfectly shredded that page out and glued in a new page with new instructions? What if? And they were able to cover up that magic. What if? Because here's the thing. If somebody did that as a plot point and then Darken Rahl read it and went, oh, it's in the source book, let me do this. And he would be like, Wizard's First Rule, you had not considered because you didn't want to believe somebody would replace the page. It's just like, where does it end?
It doesn't end. It goes 17 steps until Terry is tired.
Okay.
And then says the 18th step would be ridiculous. But 16 was foolish.
So foolish.
You just know when I'm right. Like, that's
and
like
because
literally
it's
like
Wizard's First Rule, like that part of it being tied to, and that's because you're an idiot. Is crazy.
I know.
What? You mean not accounting for every single possibility with magic makes you so stupid, and it means like you just didn't want to believe, man.
You know what I hate too?
You just didn't want to believe.
Yeah, it's like people are stupid, including wizards. Like it's not.
I know we've definitely whined about this.
It's like,
even though Zed again is so.
It's such a special club.
Dumb.
He's dumb all the time. And Darken Rahl's dumb, who is like clearly one of the most accomplished wizards of today. Richard's the only not dummy.
Richard's also stupid all the time.
As fuck.
Like, he's also an idiot.
Ugh.
So, yeah, Darken Rahl's in, right? He's like, I think I'm not getting lied to. Seems good enough for me.
Pretty sure. Did my due diligence.
He's following the things Zed said. He was like, that's what the source book says. I'm going to go with it.
Yep.
So he sighs. He really has some villain. His last moments are very villainous in the tradition.
Yeah.
He sighs and looks at the box. He says, "At last, the power of Odin is mine."
That's pretty good.
I wish you had the wig for that.
We'll do it later. Okay. One clip of maniacal laughter.
So he opens the middle box with the two shadows. The box has a great golden light come out. It surrounds Darken Rahl. It's looking beautiful. He's glowing and vibing. Smiling.
Yep.
He levitates slightly into the air. His head's thrown back in rapture. He is it. He's
looking
moment.
like Gojo. You know the scene. Yeah, vibe's immaculate. Like this is. When I say vibes immaculate, this is what I'm picturing. This is what I want to be. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Darken Rahl in that moment.
I love the drama of Orden. Like, I want to know more about how this all came to be, like who Orden is or what it is, because like the idea that they were like the wrong box, it's gonna trick you.
I know. It's gonna fuck you up.
The wrong box is gonna be beautiful and then ugly. To reveal that you were wrong. What?
It's literally such a like dumb like Scorpion King level CGI like trick of the lights.
Yeah, like you said, the computer programming. I'm picturing them like programming their magic. Like,
all right, so we're gonna spark here. Give me a little bit of the first box with the good
glitter,
stuff. We're gonna
glitter.
put that in the front. Yeah, more glitter. Up and up. Yeah. How much gold can we put in this thing? Like, can we just... I want to max it. I want them to be fucked. So, like, we're going to drop them so hard here.
Yeah, rise them. Get them off the ground.
Yeah. Give them a little flight. It's going to be fucking crazy. Get them a little flight.
Make them feel really bad when they discover they don't have it. So, yeah. So then he floats over the sorcerer's stand. He says, "Thank you, my son, for coming back, for helping Father Rahl. You will be rewarded for helping me as I promised. You have delivered to me that which is mine. I can feel the power." Wow.
And then Zed, how could Richard have done this? Oh, he's confessed.
I forgive him.
I forgot. It's not his fault.
But he has a whole thing like, just like, I'm so mad at him. And then he's like, wait, he's confessed. He had no choice. I forgive him.
I forgive him?
What?
So if he's confessed... It's not Richard. You know this deeply.
Zed says, "I wish I had the power to make wizards like fire. I would kill us all and take out Darken Rahl too right now."
I don't think you would, but...
I don't know, but maybe you would. Whatever, it's over.
Wizard's first rule is that martyrdom is good.
Right, which I want to talk about, but we don't really have that much time to get into this. But in my objectivism research... It's like so anti-martyrdom. It's crazy. And I'm really trying to work out where Terry's getting this like huge obsession with sacrificing the self when it's like
that
completely
is the number one
opposed.
sin of objectivism. I know. 'Cause
I'm lost.
It's individualism. You're the primary thing that's important. And if everyone feels that way, everyone rises up. That's the concept.
I get the idea. Like, I don't love it, but I get parts of it. I feel
Terry's
makes sense.
Stuck between some like it's like a trifecta of
he's like a Christian
individualism,
who's obsessed,
Christian guilt, and like communist. Like it's this weird like he doesn't know what he's pushing all these things together, and it's like
I'm like reading it, and I'm just like, this is so the opposite of this message of like I can't forgive you for myself, but only because of other people. As Caitlin the Confessor, I can't get retribution for being raped, but I can
get retribution because Richard died.
But I'm just like, this is like really counter, as far as I can tell, to this philosophy.
Well, that will be, by book 5, we'll have evolved more, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's very weird. So
he's flying, the sand starts to turn like a golden color, and you're like, oh, here it comes. He's evolving, and then
oh my God.
it turns crisp and black, and the ground opens up. And we see shafts of violet light
yes,
again.
I know.
It came
Interesting.
back, which I guess
Where'd
is...
the green go?
Green is the overworld representation of the underworld.
Right.
Violet light
It's
is the actual underworld air light coming
So it's like
up.
something about the UV is changing.
Correct. And I think
it.
purple and green are diametrically opposed to each other, like in the Aurora Borealis. It's like the two poles.
Okay.
So maybe that's what he was going for.
And then, so as the ground is trembling and the sand has turned black.
His aura turns to a poopy brown.
Hold on. That is true.
It is true.
As it's happening, Richard starts smiling.
Oh, he does.
He's
He
like-
does.
He goes, it picks up the sword of truth. And then, it's right then.
And
then it
Darken
says the
Rahl's
light
aura.
turns to an ugly brown.
Poop-colored brown. He just looks like he's poopy. From gold to shit, which is alchemical. I know, I'm sorry.
My God.
I know.
Oh my God.
Gold is the color of self-actualization, and the entire purpose of the Philosopher's Stone.
Is to turn the poop into gold.
But instead, they faked you out with the gold, now turning into shit.
Back to the caves we go.
Back to the caves we go.
He's
shoving him back into...
the butthole.
What was that cave called?
Shadrin's
Shadrin?
cave.
I didn't want to call it Char's cave. Shadrin's cave. Darken Rahl's getting shoved into the butt.
Yeah, so a wailing roar came from the ground. The sand is splitting. The invisible walls of the prisons they're in drop.
Yep. 'Cause
Right?
you can't maintain concentration while making death saving throws. That's a fact. Yeah. I know.
So Chase immediately runs at the guards with his sword. They drop Kaylin and they start fighting Chase. Michael looks scared as Chase kills one of the guards. Kaylin elbows Michael and grabs the knife. And then Michael runs off into the trees in the garden.
Yep.
And Chase kills the other guard and then he starts chasing Michael. And Kaylin just runs away. There's no
that was like...
I know.
I saw her go that way.
She's gone.
What did she do?
I don't
Why
know.
is she... All right.
She's gone.
Okay.
Zed and Richard are still there. They're watching Darken Rahl's weird descent. Darken Rahl says, Richard, what have you done? Why, only what you wanted, Master Rahl. He said innocently.
This coy
Why?
seeker.
Only what you wanted, Master Rahl.
Well.
I have told you what you wanted. I have told you what you wanted to hear. But it was the truth. You told the true words. Yes, I did. I just didn't tell all of them. I left out most of the paragraph at the end. Here it comes. Be cautioned. The effect of the boxes is fluid. It shifts with it. It shifts with intent. To be master of to be master of all, so you may help others. Shift one box to the right. To be master of all, so all will do your bidding. Shift one box to the left. Rule as you have chosen.
So now I have to wonder.
Right.
2 was never the right box to pick?
Hold on. Let me think about it. I got it. Let me count these shadows. Okay?
Yeah. 1 kills you. The
So
previous paragraph said 1 kills you, 3 kills everyone, 2 if you want to rule.
Yes.
And then the next paragraph says, if you want to rule, go to the left or to the right.
What does it mean shift one box to the right? Which one?
You're in the middle, and then you shift one to the right. So you pick the third box.
I'm confused. That makes it sound like there's 3 boxes. The one in the middle kills you, and the other 2 both give you power over everyone, just one in a good way and one in a bad way.
Correct.
That was never an option.
I know. And then what do you mean it's fluid?
I don't know what that means.
When can you just pick the middle box? Because the previous paragraph infers that you can just pick the middle box. But then the paragraph after is saying you have to shift depending on how you're going to rule. Is there a true neutral way to pick that middle box? Because then if not, it's never the middle box to pick.
Well, it is. It's not. It's never the middle box. The middle box always kills you.
So then the left one never kills you. And the right one
never
never kills
kills you.
everybody.
No, I know.
And the witch box kills everybody.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's
that one's
what
gone now. That box doesn't exist.
Where's the kills everyone box that we were
It's
told about?
It's not real. 2 kills you. 1 was supposed to kill you, but now lets you rule a certain way. And 3 lets you rule a certain way.
I don't know why.
Do you have to pick up 2 and then move?
That's what I was wondering.
Is it like I select 2? Just kidding. I'm gonna rule everybody. I pick up 2. Just kidding. I'm gonna rule selfishly. I'm gonna rule selfishly. The
crazy.
power of Orden
What?
cares how
Why
I'm gonna
will
do it.
What will it change?
Can I kill everyone selfishly?
What will it change in terms of like what it gives you? He says that, and then Darken Rahl is like, "But you were touched by a confessor." He says, "Oh, was I?" Wizards. Is that what it feels like after you were touched by a confessor?
Idea.
A mistress.
Mistress.
Okay. He says, "Was I?" Wizards first rule. I hate when they say it.
You were. You definitively were touched.
I know, and you were
by a
touched. It
confessor.
just didn't do it.
Was I? It just didn't do the thing. You were touched by a confessor. Period. We all saw the leaves do the thing.
It's the first rule because it's the most important.
Oh,
I love this, like, I know the tone I'm about to read this in is not accurate, but it just has such a PSA good boy thing going on.
Yeah.
It's the first rule because it's the most important. You should have guarded better against it. That's the price of arrogance. I accept my vulnerability. You don't. I didn't like the choices you gave me. I couldn't win by your rules, so I made some new ones. The book said you had to confirm the truth with the use of a confessor. You only thought I had done that. Wizard's first rule. You believed because you wanted to. I have beaten you. It's like giving Darman. Like
literally Darman level.
You know what I mean? Again, I already went on my rant about how this whole idea annoys me. You only thought this, you believed it because you wanted to. No, he just didn't account for every single, if anything, like it could have even been like Kaylin pretended and used thaumaturgy to make it seem like she had confessed me, but actually she didn't do that because she's a sorceress and can do things when she's in Kandar. That could have been the outcome. Like, I don't know.
100%. They could, yeah.
How could he have ever known if you were actually confessed or not? There really was no way. He had to take a chance.
There is a way I just thought of.
Oh.
So Darken Rahl can go to the underworld, right?
Whoa, okay.
And he could pretty much, I assume, force these souls to confess things to him because they're all like afraid of him.
Right.
And Zed has confessed at the end of this book that he at least knows that you can fall in love with a confessor.
Yes, that's
it's
true.
It's totally possible to do it. So...
You think the spirits would know that?
Some spirit knows that.
Yeah, I would think Darken Rahl would be utilizing spirit universal knowledge to a greater extent.
That's what I mean. And if he's like, oh, this whole thing relies on me. First off, he activated these boxes without even knowing where this book was. Crazy. But now that he has the book in Richard, and he told him the only way you can know is if you get me confessed, he wasn't like, is there any way to like get around confession? Like, that wasn't in his head. Like,
I know, and
let me just double check that it's not true.
Back on, he is so arrogant. He thinks the spirits are working for him. That is the explanation.
Yeah.
He seems like a very thorough man.
Except when it's convenient that he's not.
Yeah, so like, whatever. But again, at the same time...
Can you check everything?
That's what I'm saying. At the same time, even if he attempted to do these things, they could have come up with something to get around it, because of course you can. And how is he going to consider every option? I just love that when these people are like beyond dumb, beyond the most obvious things, even just like Richard being under an enemy web should have been way more obvious than any of this shit. They never think they're stupid.
I know.
They never think that. They're always just like, no, who could have known that?
It's so goofy.
Who could have known that? But when a bad guy does something way more difficult to figure out, they're like, dumbass. It's just like, oh my God. Relax.
Yeah. Yep.
So Darken Rahl says, it can't be. It's not possible. How could you have known how to do this? Richard says,
know how to do what? All right. Anyway, keep going. Keep going.
You taught me. Nothing, including magic, is one-dimensional. Look at the whole, you said. Nothing that exists has only one side. Look at the whole. You should never have taught me something you didn't want me to know. Once you teach me something, it's mine to use. Thank you, Father Rahl, for teaching me the most important thing I will ever learn. How to love Kaylin. Do you see that in it?
No.
Do you?
No.
I'm looking. I'm trying to figure out if I see that.
They go on for quite a while trying to explain it. I don't think it makes sense.
I don't think so either.
I feel like it worked with Denna. Understanding the other side of the sword, which is
that was
tenuous at best what that even is, but whatever.
It is, but it's okay.
Understanding that the love and the hate go hand in hand. But then understanding Kaylin. I
think because how to love Kaylin essentially means
submitting to her like a dominatrix.
Yeah, and again, the objectivism thing, it comes back around where I'm like, it's the opposite message.
Yeah.
That when I love you, I don't consider myself a firm Randian anything.
No.
And I think I'm more Randian about this than Terry is, which is kind of weird. I guess I've been predicting this since day one, though. The second that they said, Confessor magic is love, I said, hold up. Hold the fuck up.
Yeah.
How is that even, how are you even claiming that? And it's the whole book, unfortunately, does rest on that understanding. And I've had a problem with it.
It didn't make sense back then. It still doesn't work.
So like how to love Kaylin, it feels like it's being like how to be just the most self-sacrificial, like in a way,
but in a very literal way here.
Yeah. So Darken Rahl's screaming and laughing.
Why?
She's crazy.
She's going nuts.
Richard asks where Kaylin is, says just like points somewhere. I don't know where. Richard looks at Darken Rahl. He says, goodbye, Father Rahl. I trust you will die without my watching it. Did that line go hard?
Kind of, it went hard.
It went a little.
That went hard, yeah.
We'll give it to him. Darken Rahl says, Richard! Okay, Richard leaves.
Yeah.
Now it's just Zed and Rahl together.
Yeah, he does the little, he shuffles up.
Yeah, Zed comes
just an old man.
Right.
Yeah.
Darken Rahl says, Zedek is Zu'l surrender. You have won this much of it, but maybe not all of it. And then Zed says, get to the end. Darken Rahl says, tell me who he is. And he says, the Seeker. I don't know why Zed's like
being coy,
because he's obviously has no problem telling him in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's who he is. You know what I mean? That's just so who he is. He's the Seeker above all else.
Right. Not that I've ever felt that way or seen that in this book.
Nah.
Darken Rahl asks like, if Richard's Zed's son, because he's like, I know he's a wizard. At least I've been defeated by wizard blood. You must be his father. And he says, he is my grandson, which I did forget that. I did not remember that reveal.
But it's also so fucking stupid because it's like, he's just been the grandpa analog.
I know.
And now he's like just the actual grandpa. It's like, all right, I guess that's better because now we got bloodlines. But I
guess we should have been suspicious because like his mom just like never comes up. So it's very like, what are you hiding? Why is she so mysterious?
Yeah. She died in a fire.
Right. Terry benefits from the inability to tell what is bad writing and what was intentional like hiding.
I know.
He says, you lie. Why put a web around his father's identity if it's not you? Zed drops his line. I put a web around him because I didn't want him to know who the blue-eyed bastard was who raped his mother and gave him life.
I didn't write that one down, shockingly.
I thought you would have. I thought you would want to deliver that. The blue-eyed... Why did he say blue-eyed?
I don't know. Why does Terry constantly like these blonde men, these blue-eyed, piercing through the dark men, raping and pillaging these blue-eyed,
why did he include
savage Viking men?
Blue-eyed.
I don't know.
Okay, but yeah, so Zed took it upon himself to fully hide the identity of his dad.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I get it. I kind of get it, where I'm like, if I'm putting myself in his daughter's shoes, where it would be like this horrible reason that he was born, and you do meet this man that you like love and you want to have this family, like you might really want him to just be like, just that's your dad. You know, like, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know why Zed can't be his grandpa, though.
I don't know.
That part I don't get. I can kind of see hiding the Darken Rahl thing. Why is Zed not his grandpa?
I don't know. Because Zed was pretending not to be a wizard, so I don't know what the problem is. Just
say he's
I'm
an
the
old
grandpa.
man, and this is my daughter, and we live
Yeah.
here now.
I do cloud reading, and I'm just an old man in a
I don't know why we were
hut.
hiding.
I don't know.
Who's
Why are we hiding that? But we hang out all the time. I'm just an old guy.
Your daughter, so Darken Rahl says, your daughter was killed. My father told me so. Zed says, of course, a little trick. Once again, just a lie. Just a lie.
Wizard's first rule, bitch. My dad told me. You shouldn't have believed your father. Idiot. Fucking fool. Penis lied to you.
Again, these are just lies.
A little trick.
It's not a trick.
It's not a trick. It's a fabrication.
I just
He
said
lied.
something that simply wasn't true.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a
Wizard's
total
first
fabrication.
rule.
It never happened.
Though you didn't know who she was, meaning the daughter, you hurt her without intending it. You also gave her happiness. You gave her Richard. I can get into that message.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a
Wizard's
total
first
fabrication.
rule.
It never happened.
Oh my god. Wizard's first rule is just lying and gaslighting.
Yeah.
He said, I'm giving it a name,
I'm giving it a name.
and only magical people can do it. I want to know the people who, just work on the farms and stuff, they don't lie to each other.
They're like, what the fuck? He said it was going to be here. Why didn't it happen? People lie all the time in these books. It's not like... But I guess Richard always questions when they're lying. And that's the difference.
So Richard just goes through the world. He's just like, I don't trust a single thing out of any of your mouths.
No, he trusts them when they're trustworthy. And he Wizard's first
wow,
rules them
that's
when they're
amazing.
not. I know.
I love that.
That's how you're smart, you know?
So Darken Rahl is like, I am his father. I don't know. When you raped my daughter, I knew I couldn't harm you. So to protect and comfort her, I took her to Westland. This is such a weird way to be saying this to him.
Yeah.
She met a widowed man with a son. His name was George, a good, kind man. I was proud to have him as my daughter's husband. George loved Richard as his own. Really think about this, saying this to this man.
As Darken Rahl is literally turning to poop and becoming translucent. Just like, I was very proud to have George Cypher as my son-in-law. I shared a brandy with him out on the veranda in the Westland sunsets of... And Darken Rahl's like... yeah, stretching into fucking geometric patterns and turning into... He turns into smoke at one point, then back.
Why is he saying all this? It's not necessary. Why does he even care to tell Darken Rahl these things?
He made some of the finest ale. We had it with our spice soup. I dunked large hunks of bread.
I am his father. Why wouldn't you just be like, yup, and he's a good man, and I took care of him, fuck you. At the end, why are you telling me about George?
It's like Bilbo reading from his book to
He just settles in.
as the Witch King's head is crumpling in. But Bilbo, once upon a time in a hole there lived a hobbit, and he's like... What are you doing?
I'm really trying to...
What are you doing?
I mean, I thought it was silly, but reading it out loud makes it just so weird, so much weirder.
Terry literally is like, what's a reasonable... Because he's good at, choppy pace. He's good at making things feel fast.
Yeah,
But then he will just be like, how much can a normal person speak to someone during the middle of a fight scene? And it's like... This much? One guy can say this much?
Not to shit on Brandon Sanderson, but he is
Does he do the same
guilty
thing?
of this. Yes, he does all the time. I really don't like it. He will have characters in these really tense scenarios where they're sneaking in or I don't know, just doing something that they don't want other people to be privy to, and they will be talking to another character in the corner, and they're always they were whispering, and it'll be long conversations, and you're like, they're like in this teeny room, and you're like, who's not noticing you guys whispering over there?
I feel like it's authors do this thing where they're like, oh, I've written a tense scene, so they're paying attention. I'm gonna take advantage of that, and like, I'm really gonna make them have to fucking read shit.
I'm always really trying to picture things, so I'll be like,
I know.
Like, I'm really imagining, like, oh, okay, they're, like, in the tent, and there's this many people, and, okay, they're sitting there, and then they're in the corner, it's not that far away, and then, like, they're, like, dipping their heads down and chittering, and I'm like,
yeah,
I think you would definitely go, like, what are you guys talking about? What's happening?
This is a skill I've been picking up from DMing, where it's like, you can't plan breaking into somewhere right outside of it for, like, an hour. Like, the longer you guys start talking, you're like, people are walking by.
Yeah.
It's an hour on the clock has gone by. He's closing up shop now. He sees you. It's like, what?
I know.
We need to keep it reasonable, you know?
Yeah, they struggle. Well, anyway, this is an example of that, where it's just like, Darken Rahl is turning into, like, the universe in
vapor.
front of you. So, why are you going into this much detail? So, yeah, I was proud to have him as my daughter's husband. George loved Richard as his own, but he knew the truth, except about me. Why? Hidden by the web.
Whatever.
Yeah. I could have hated Richard for his father's crimes, but I loved him instead. He turned out to be quite the man. You have been defeated by the heir you wanted. An heir born with the gift. That is rare. They love that.
I definitely don't remember.
Richard is the true seeker. From the raw blood, he has the rage of anger, the capacity for violence, but it's balanced by Zorander blood, the capacity for love, understanding, and forgiveness.
Yes.
I love this.
That is. Okay. Wow, that man is speaking about himself to a man turning into, like, dust.
But, like,
I am so good. I am
a capacity
so
for
pure.
violence.
I am lovely, and I have empathy in bounds. As this man's like turning into like fucking nothingness, and he's just like, I am all good, and I am so pretty and beautiful.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm real sus. If you talk about yourself like that, I'm immediately like, I don't believe you anymore. I don't think it's true, because I don't think you'd be saying it like that.
Now, if he said he had the blood of my daughter who was, I'd be like, that's a father talking about his child. Yeah, but he's talking about himself. He's including himself.
Oh, yeah.
They have Zorander blood, which makes them special, beautiful, lovely, wholehearted. Like,
to counteract, but like, again, I'm like, but Zed, you have violence in you.
We've seen it. He nuked a Gar like immediately.
And it's not bad. It just is what it is. Like, how are you separating these people? Like,
especially
it's so projection. It's just like every bad quality on your side, all the good qualities on my side.
On my side.
Okay.
Richard's sword is filled with anger.
I know.
And that is apparently the encapsulation of truth itself, which apparently
certainly a really big part.
Yeah.
At least half.
Okay.
Darken Rahl says, to think Zorander and Rahl bloodlines joined in one, yet he is still my heir. In a way, I have won. Zed says, you have lost in more ways than one. I do feel like they're kind of alluding to these cryptic prophetic outcomes.
Who cares?
That
but yeah, you're right.
We don't know. So then, there it goes. Vapor, smoke, shadows, light.
Sucked into hell. It's like an 80s sci-fi movie, yeah.
Yeah, sorcerer's sand sucked into the vortex. The sounds of the world of life and the underworld mixing. Kaelin going into Kandar described better than this. Like, by a lot.
A lot.
By a lot.
Which is weird.
So weird. Like, why didn't you save that for this? I mean, granted, I'm kind of glad you gave it to her because it was cool, but like,
shave off some of that heat and bring it over here. Just do it again. Just do like the same thing even.
I think he just was like, we already did it.
He really was like, I'm tired. This whole like conclusion just felt like, I guess I gotta end it.
Yeah, it did. There was no real passion, no eros here.
No.
Darken Rahl says, read the prophecies, old man. Things may not be as final as you think. I am an agent, which we dropped that
once.
Concept.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know what it means.
It's gonna be the evil chicken or something. I'm calling that.
Is Darken Rahl relevant in other books?
Yeah,
he
once,
is.
and I think he's the chicken. But
Shut the fuck up.
I think he is. I might be wrong. I think the chicken is something.
He's like an embodiment of evil. I don't know if it's like Darken Rahl.
They put Darken Rahl's spirit somewhere. They talk to him at least once. They talk to him once in the next like 2 or 3 books, and then they talk to him, I think, again at the end. I think. But he's irrelevant for like 11 books in a row.
Well, he's so cocky. What's he talking about?
I don't know. The Keeper is a big plot line for like
involved?
2 or 3. Yeah, he's an agent. I don't know.
Okay. Well, there's a big white flash in the room, and then everything's silent, and Darken Rahl is gone. He's gone.
Woo! Yeah! And then we get the end of Star Wars. A really silly group of people all coming together to celebrate, kind of.
What? How is this? What happens at the end of Star Wars?
I think it's A New Hope, but it might be Return of the Jedi.
I don't know Star Wars like that.
Where they're like putting medals on them, and they're just like
yeah.
everyone's coming back to get. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
It's kind of cute in that movie.
Yeah.
I think.
Well. All right, but first we got a lot of things first.
Right, so okay, Darken Rahl's gone. Zed's by himself. That's over. Zed stands over the altars and he says, "I recall the webs. Let it all know it once more. Zedek is Zu'l, wizard of the First Order. Let all know it once more. And the rest too." What does that mean? What's "and the rest too"? The way that this web works, like, is it just that, like, anyone who previously knew Zed now remembers him again? Yeah. Or is it, like, everyone in the world all of a sudden has a download? They're like, Zedek is Zu'l. Okay, Richard sort of seems that way.
Yeah.
He's dropped his web. People can know who he is again. To what extent, I don't know. Then we say, the people of Dahara were linked to the House of Rahl. I already have questions. A link forged in magic long ago by those who would rule. A link that chained the people of Dahara to the House of Rahl and the House of Rahl to them.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And then, again, how are we defining the people of Dahara? Is this genetic? Is this when I get my visa and come across the boundary?
No, it's got to be probably like birth within the realm, you know?
Within the realm.
It's
so
probably a preset area where you are Daharan by birth, and then you belong to the House of Rahl, I guess.
Okay, so if you move there, this won't affect
I don't think so. I wouldn't imagine you can emigrate into magical bounds, you know?
With the webs removed, that link to the gift would be felt by many, and let them know that Richard was now Master Rahl. Okay, so this means that the way this country is functioning, they are getting psychic downloads of information packets randomly.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, how much information do they get, like, from Darken Rahl? Like, what have these people been knowing and learning? What is happening?
It does kind of maybe make sense as to why they're so chill about everything, because they're kind of like, maybe he's just in the head being like, things are good, and he's just like, they're all like, all right.
Right, but except, like, when he's introduced, they're like, everyone's terrified of him. No one wants to work there. Yeah. And then except we're like, oh, but only in the crypt. Everybody who works in the palace otherwise seems perfectly content and treated really well.
You're right.
Okay, just crypt workers. He only has that level of OCD and rage at the crypt workers and no one else.
Just for his dad and some prostitutes and the Mordsith sometimes. Other women that he steals.
But everyone else seems to be all good. Cafeteria workers, fine. Guards, fine.
They have a union, so...
I think that's weird.
There are guards, Mordsith, cafeteria workers, and scholars, quote unquote. Those are the only people working here. And quads.
And the crypt workers, who he really treats badly.
You don't want that job.
Not that.
You don't want that job.
I love it. Like, he was introduced where it was like so like, oh, everyone's terrified to get recruited to work at the People's Palace. And then later on, we're like, oh, no, they're just like meditating. They're really happy. They love it here.
I know. The crypt's the bad place to be. Start from the bottom. Now we're here.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe just the crypt. Anyway, so then, so I guess... But so this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
If you... Oh my God. I'm just like trying to imagine, like, you want to write this book. And you're like, I have a country where the concept I have is that the monarchy is magical and has a link to their populace that allows them to send like
some sort of
propaganda and I'm like, that should be the focus.
Yeah, I know, but that would require a lot of thinking and focus on like
the impact of that is remarkably interesting to consider.
I agree. Yeah.
So being told this now when it was because like we've seen these people. Like why not even just drop it like when Carl was chosen? They got a little ping in their brain. Master All was like, he's coming to the palace.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. Just like so, it's just such a weird concept right now. It just psychically sends out, Richard's your king to everyone. Let's be real. He never thought about this until right now. And he said, I want that scene where everybody shows up.
I know.
How could they all find out that quick?
I believe he had the idea in his head the whole time.
I don't.
I do. I just think he chose not to develop it because it was too hard to do.
I don't think so. I really think he has these images, I think, of like scenes he wants that he thinks will have emotional impact. Yeah. And then he has to figure out a way to make them
works his way backwards,
yes.
like Richard, to the solution.
Yeah, he's like, how can I get them all there? Maybe that. And then he doesn't bother thinking, oh, well, once I add that has implications for everything else about Dahara we've seen.
Yeah.
Should I go back and make sure that works?
And there's just so many questions as opposed to like, wouldn't the suppressant nature of magic being only amplified here for Rahl bloodline still be in effect without Darken Rahl? Like, wouldn't it be?
Well, the point they did specifically, it was that the castle was built in such a way as to be a spell. Yeah. Right?
For Rahl blood only.
Increasing Richard still. Right, but then it would be suppressing Zed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
Right, I guess maybe Richard has to go do...
Like, he has to, like, make it do that, and Darken Rahl was making it do that.
Yeah.
And, maybe.
Like, it's just sitting there waiting for you to, like, attach to it.
And, like, pick what app you want to run.
Yeah, I think maybe Richard could connect via Bluetooth to that.
Probably, yeah. His JBL speaker blasting, yeah. Uh-huh. Well, that's good. We kind of have a JBL ending, but yeah, keep going.
What's JBL?
The JBL speakers. It's a meme you're not aware of. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is it for the boys?
Can be. Depends.
Okay. So Zed's like, I'll have to tell Richard Darken Rahl's his dad, but not today.
Not today. Today we celebrate. Today he gets an award or something.
So we're with Richard. He finds Kaylin kneeling by one of his old devotion pools.
He liked the pools, and so did she.
That's the knife pointed at her chest, very Juliet, crying.
I know.
He says, don't do that. She says, I must. I love you. I would rather die than be your mistress. It's the only way to release you. I would like you to give me a kiss and then leave me. I don't want you to see it. See, but like, I would rather die than be your mistress. That's what I was talking about last time. I said, don't put that on her. Don't put that. She doesn't want it. She doesn't.
His concept is you be my mistress, I be your master. We both dominate each other at the same time.
Right. It's kind of sad. I like, the image of her crying by the pool. It's like very romantic.
Yeah.
So whatever. She's like, kiss me and then leave. And then he says, no. What did you say?
Excuse me?
How could he say no? He's confessed.
I can't.
Well, and that is my point. How can he say no if he loves her the way, to the extent that you'd love somebody who's confessed, you can't say no, right?
Wrong.
I said no. Oh God, I don't like this. I don't even want to read it. I don't even want to read it.
I am not going to kiss you with those silly things. Peanut on your face. They nearly scared the life out of me. I think what scared him was that he hadn't considered things like that.
Like what?
Because like the ultimate moment needs to be that he gives himself over to her in love fully.
Yes.
And the lightning bolts were like, what is this? Now I'm afraid. I don't know what this is. What's it going to do? And he's like, the doubt almost killed me because I almost clinched.
Having that doubt was really bad.
Yeah.
Questioning if he should give himself to Kaylin and perhaps all these things he doesn't know about her and her character
is
bad. No, it's bad. Except if she would have ended up bad, then it would have been good.
You see, this stuff's so hard.
Right? So she's like, how are you doing that? How are you defying me? And he starts using the water to clean her Kandar makeup off and says, you have ordered me to kiss you, but I won't do it with this painted on your face. So I guess the only solution is to get rid of it. I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to be like, see, I am listening to your orders, but we're compromising. But that's the fucking point of the confessor magic, is that these people can't compromise with you no matter what.
Well, because they don't love you enough. He loves her enough, so he's allowed to compromise now. I think, so people can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding here, which is not great because it doesn't really make sense, is you get hit with the confessor magic. If you have any opposition to fully loving the person hitting you, it destroys your whole personality. And then you are just devoted to them. But since Richard was wholly in love with Kaylin, no reservations, it didn't do anything.
What does that mean, though? Like,
I don't know. Star-crossed lover is bullshit.
Okay.
But
well, okay.
I really think it's just that Richard has an insane amount of internal magic that made it happen.
Yeah. But, like, I'm trying to make it make sense. There's, like, one line in here where I was like, that kind of worked, right? There was, like, a thing he says at some point, I'll point out, that I was like, okay, I think I could have accepted it. But then it kept going. And the more he talked and tried to explain it, the less sense it kept making to me. My first question is, if all it means is that, like, if I truly love you, it won't work on me. I just can't imagine that no confessor has ever had a man in love with her. And I get that Zed's in a second is going to be like, one other time. But, like, I just think people would have figured that out.
I think it's at least one other time. Okay,
and none of the confessors didn't pass this down, and whatever Zed's gonna say, we couldn't because it is a paradox. And
I don't think that actually makes that much sense.
No, that doesn't make sense to me. But like,
his love protected him from her power because he was willing to be hers on any terms already and loved her more than life itself.
Okay, so I sort of get it where it's like, if you're coming to the person and saying, I would rather be confessed than be apart from you, and you just like willingly give in to being even the confession version of me is better. That is what I can take. I can mentally get there.
Yeah.
Although it does certainly not very objectivist. It's not very Randian.
It's not that at all.
Saying like there is something weird about this. It's sort of romantic, but it is also weird to be like, oh, I could just like live my life and move on and maybe find a new person to be with. No, I'd rather be
your like blabbling slave.
Yeah, actually,
puppy.
Maybe the Zed thing does make sense that you can't tell, because by telling them they can't fully submit because they know
that they won't
actually
have to.
That kind of works.
I guess
it kind of works.
If any of it works, maybe, but I don't know.
So here's the thing: if you just leave it alone there, right?
Yeah.
You just leave it alone of like, because you were willing to be confessed to like, it's sort of, because then it's like paying tribute to the idea that being confessed is very different than loving somebody.
Yes.
Right? You're saying, I loved you and I loved you so much that I'm willing to even be confessed, which is not purely love. It's something else worse. I'm willing to even do that to be near you. Fine. I can see that loophole. Right? But he keeps going. He keeps on going.
Give us the rest.
And once I realized how much I loved you, was willing to be yours on any term, I understood that there could be nothing for the magic to harm. Like, yes and no. No, because you're okay getting confessed, but yes, because being confessed is inherently harming you. Right?
Yeah.
I was already devoted to you. It didn't need to change me. No. That doesn't make sense. You're not that devoted to her. Like, you are in the sense that you're willing to become that devoted to her, but you're not that devoted to her inherently. Do you get what I mean?
He's saying I am.
No, he's not.
That's what he's saying.
He just said no.
Said no. Not obey everything you say, but like everything I do is for you. Like in He's saying my soul is so ordered in such a way that all of my actions are for you, your betterment, and your
But again, that's
protection.
not what being confessed is about.
Well, no, because that's the thing. The confession is, if you can't do that, then I will obliterate you.
Yeah, but it's weird to say it's the magic of like creating love when it's like, no, you're actually just being deeply punished in like an almost like wry, funny fashion for not feeling that way towards me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I guess that's...
Well, it's like, my power is, if you don't love me, I will destroy you. That's the power. It's not the power of love. It's the power of, if you don't love me.
Well, see, that's where it's making sense.
Yeah.
But then so it's like, I was protecting because I've already been touched by your love. Okay, fine. I had utter faith you felt the same and had no fear of what would happen. I don't know how much it matters if she loves him for this to work, but maybe. If I had any doubt, the magic would have lashed onto that crack and taken me, but I had no doubt. I love that he knows the intricacies of
Lashed
this.
onto that crack like Constance. All right, keep going.
My love for you is smooth and seamless. My love for you protected me from the magic. You felt that way? You had no doubt? You had no doubt? And she gave him...
You felt that way?
Her special smile.
Oh, yeah, of course. Give me one. Ooh.
We've done this. We're back at it.
It's cute, though. I like it. I like it.
He says, well, for a moment, I saw those lightning bolts on your face. I have to admit, I was worried. I didn't know what they were, what they meant. I pulled the sword to try and gain time to think. But then I realized it didn't matter. You were still Kaylin, and I still loved you no matter what.
And Zed hit the sword out of my hands with a lightning bolt, so it really didn't matter. I wanted you to touch me more than anything to prove my love and devotion for you, but I had to put an act on for Darken Rahl. It makes sense to me if he's saying, like, I'm surrendering. I'm okay getting confessed. Yeah. And then it would be much more romantic, right? If he didn't think because this doesn't really make sense. Then I'm going back now because Zed said, you can't tell anybody. I couldn't tell you. Because if you knew ahead of time, it wasn't going to. This is my problem.
Right. It wasn't going to work. Then you're not doing it truly out of like, I don't care if I'm confessed. But Richard knew it wasn't gonna work.
So this is in the way of Richard being a manipulative asshole. Oh my God. Once again, coming back. Yeah. Richard went into this with a plan.
Yeah, he knew.
To get confessed because he knew it wouldn't work.
But that's exactly the same as Zed telling you.
Figured it out himself. What does that matter? He's
matter.
Not getting confessed being like, it's okay. He's getting confessed knowing it won't work on him because he loves her so much. Correct. Which that's will annoying. Which he's already planning past the confession.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to actually do anything. So I'm going to use that to trick Darken Rahl. That's not
the same thing. The only thing that works for me is the idea of Richard not thinking it's going to work, but going, I want to be with you so bad. I know I'm going to get confessed in the real sense. Correct. Please do it to me. And then it doesn't work. And it's a surprise.
At the confession, and then either do a chapter POV from Richard being like, nothing felt different.
Yes.
And then
he comes up with his plan.
Figures it out. Zed can even explain it later. The reason it didn't, of course it didn't work on you. You love her too much.
But like, whatever. Honestly, all you'd have to change is that moment at the devotion pool where he has his epiphany and he goes, oh my God, I know the trick. Because the trick means he wasn't giving himself over fully because he didn't think it was ever going to happen in the first place. If Richard never had that epiphany, went in being like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and then was
I just trust Kaylin, and I hope that...
I'm just going to do my best. And then when Kaylin got there, he was like, she's going to confess me. I could kill her or take the confession. He was like, you know what? If I'm confessed...
Maybe we could figure something out. She's smart.
No, I don't know. That's the same thing. No, he would have to go, I'll still get to, like, love her. I'm okay with that.
That would have worked.
I'm okay with that.
I don't have a solution.
I don't have a solution.
That's the only answer I got.
But if that's the outcome, I still get to, like, be with her and devoted to her.
For however long.
I know I'm getting confessed. Fuck it. I'll take it. I'll be confessed to you. That would be like, oh, whoa.
And then it doesn't work. And then
exactly. And then he's like, oh shit, I can do a little plan now. Him knowing it won't work doesn't work.
But Terry cannot. ever allow his protag to walk into something like that without actually knowing ahead of time that they already have the Sherlock level plan.
Well, then the whole thing was said ceases to make sense. The only thing about that made sense was the idea that I was like, oh, right, because if you know going into it, then you can't fully devote yourself to the idea of sacrificing yourself to the confession. But Richard also wasn't doing that.
No,
he wasn't.
Because he knows it's not happening.
Or
That's how he's able to make...
That's what he's hoping. It's what he wants. So he never came in saying, I'll get confessed.
He's saying, I'll get confessed as a trick. Because I know it doesn't work on me.
Right, so then it comes back to the idea that he thinks the trick will work because he's saying, I'm devoted to you in equal measure to being confessed. And I'm saying, no, you're not. That's never been true. It never will be true. It's not true.
Not true. You frequently will tell her no, where other people are dying because she's told them to.
I know. So, well, lots of problems with that. So she's...
it's not like the crux of the book and the romance and all that, so it's okay.
She's talking about the Kandar symbol. She says, these symbols mean that I, too, gave everything over for you. But the problem is, Kaylin actually did.
I know.
Kaylin actually was walking in going, I'm going to suicide for him. And she was willing to do it, and she didn't think it was a trick. She was going to secretly get out of it.
Trust me, I know.
So Kaylin actually is the real one here. Richard's a little sneaky motherfucker.
We've been saying it, though.
And... also, the symbolism of that is kind of here in that I was sort of like, it's so awful that she has these symbols on her face that are so meaningful to her. We even go out of our way when it happens, when she's going up about like how she's owning herself and she's looking at them as these beautiful, powerful symbols. And Richard goes, ew.
Immediately goes,
disgusting.
Get that off your face.
Get it off your face.
Idiot. I know. I know. Trust me, I know.
It's there. Like, it's not intentional, but it's so weird how that reflects that Kaylin really was willing to suicide for him, and he wasn't because he was being a little sneaker.
So, at least we need to accept that subconsciously, unconsciously, Terry was consistent with his own shitty concept idealism, like here.
That is so weird.
Listen, things reflect whether or not you intend for them to.
I did, because even not thinking about this parallel, I was really put off by that combo where I was like, oh my god, she thinks of it like that. And he's being so mean, like telling her she looks ugly and like taking it, being like, get rid of that. And she's like, this was my symbol that I was truly devoted to you and I was going to die for you.
And listen, so Richard has the black, dark, bad sword. He's had it the whole time. Kaylin has never judged him for it.
Yes.
Kaylin gets the masculine energy immediately. Is like, get rid of that. It's ugly. Terrible. Not only that, but Richard now has the white sword, the feminine energy. No one says anything about that.
Yeah.
And in a couple of pages, we'll get I can't throw away this special necklace. My girlfriend gave it to me. And you just got to accept that, Kayla. And she goes, I guess for now I will.
Okay.
So things are unequal.
And then he doubles down and says, everyone else has to get rid of their special necklaces, but not mine.
Not mine.
I can't. Anyway, we'll get there, but okay. Yeah, that really pissed me off. And I was like, some part of me was like, does he have some like trauma from Denna where he's like, I can't see powerful ladies anymore, but we'll never go there. That would have been cool, right? To be like, if we came back and we're like, actually that was kind of shitty of Richard. He's on a little arc of like getting over his fear of powerful women. Would
make sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
Him having a fear of powerful women.
My problem is I think this is just zipped up. It's 100%. The moment. It's supposed to be a good romantic moment. Richard did nothing wrong. The end. It pissed me off. I was like, what? Her special...
We didn't need you coming in here being all silly. I had it. Well, first off, you didn't. You didn't without her. You needed her 100%. Why were you coming in here being all masculine, grabbing me by the throat, and being all scary? Cut it out. Become feminine again.
I'm scared because I feel like that is an undercurrent.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's misogyny. That's all it is. But he simultaneously gave her the sickest male transformation and then had his self-insert truth-bearing hero be like, I don't like you when you get too bulky. Like,
stop lifting weights. Do more cardio.
Can you do more cardio, please, and diet a little? I hate when you Kandar.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta put a pin in that
Ooh.
one because we could keep going. And
Okay.
I don't want to keep going.
Yeah, so that she's fine with all that, I guess. So they kiss a bunch. They decide to go find Zed. They go back into the Garden of Life. They're like holding hands. Then Kaylin, in a very dramatic fashion, drops to her knees in front of Zed and kisses his hands. She says, "Zed, he loves me. He figured out how to make it work with the magic."
It's like the Barbie movie. What is this? Like, all right.
There was a way and he found it. Well, it took him long enough. You knew how to do it. I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard of the First Order. Of course I knew. And you never told us? Okay. If I had told you, it wouldn't have worked. The foreknowledge would have injected a grain of doubt. See, so this is my problem. It's not that it would work if you said, but again, that would fuck up everything that happened with Richard. It would work if you said he couldn't give himself over to you completely by knowing it's a paradox. You can't do that. It's not that it would have... How would it injected a grain of doubt? If anything, it would make you more confident.
That's what I don't get. It's not.
Mean?
It's not. It wouldn't have injected a grain of doubt.
He just couldn't truly sacrifice himself because he knows he's not sacrificing himself.
That's the paradox.
Right,
you
but...
wrote the wrong thing. You wrote the wrong explanation. The real explanation is that knowing it's going to work might make it not work.
Correct.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
I know, but then Richard couldn't have known ahead of time that it was going to work.
And that's easy. Just make him not know and give himself over to Kaylin. And then everyone gets both sides of the magic
honestly,
all over the place.
Like, while it's unhealthy and bad to probably be like, I will give up my whole being for you, etc., the thing is, in that scenario where, like, the end of the world's coming, all of these things, Richard saying, in my last moments, like, kind of like Char, like, I want to feel that extreme love for you, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Is romantic. It would have got me.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of being like, ugh.
I know.
It's fucked up but romantic at the same time. Instead of just being fucked up and not really that romantic to me.
I love how, like, the world in which Char existed under that tree and this world don't feel like they exist together at all.
They don't.
I am actually shocked that, like, Nightwish didn't show up at the end here.
That would have been
Like, just a
fun.
swarm of them coming in.
Honestly,
Oh, the new master.
here's the thing. If we were doing the style of ending
Do
we
it.
did, you might as well.
You might as well. Just have him, like, like, playing with some Vinland's hair or some shit.
Why not?
While he's jabbering.
I don't know. To be the true love of a confessor, there must be total commitment to get past the magic. Without the willingness to give himself over to you selflessly despite the knowledge of the consequences. But that's not what happened. It wouldn't work. That's not what happened. He thought there were no consequences.
He knew there weren't. He was planning when there wasn't.
He made a whole plan for, what to do when the consequences did not occur. Because if the consequences occurred, he couldn't have done his plan.
Correct.
Kaylin says, you seem to know a lot about it. I've never heard of it before. How often does it happen? Wouldn't you be like, I'm the mother confessor. I'm the most powerful woman. I have, like, learned all the histories of the confessors. And
I'm the last one.
I never heard of it.
How many times has this happened? This is crazy. We didn't know about this.
Only once that I know of. I liked the drop just in terms of, like, it is the sort of thing that makes me go, like, I want to hear.
Was it Zed's wife?
Richard's mom was a confessor?
That's what I'm wondering.
Is that how he got all the powers?
That's
many magic
literally,
powers.
and this is literally like Bleach, Kurosaki Ichigo. Like, there's just people who have the bloodlines of everything funneling into them, and it's just like, you are the chosen one. He's actually just like anyone else.
Yeah, it can work, though. It can work. I just feel like there's all these pitfalls to that idea that Terry...
We're just trudging through.
Most people are like, I want to do it, so I will think on the pitfalls and come up with creative ways to avoid them. Terry just was like, I'm just hopping in. We just hopping in the holes.
I'm running back up the other side. It's as if there's no hole. We just run through it. What's stopping me? I just said I did it, and it worked.
Yeah, that's probably true. You can tell no one, no matter how much pain it may cause, it could be, if it passes on, it can destroy the chance for others.
Let's skip that. I don't want to dwell on it any longer.
It's one of the ironies of magic, where everything's ironic this chapter. Again, he just had it in his brain because he used it earlier.
I know! Double.
You have to accept failure before you can have success. It is also one of the burdens of magic. You must accept the results, even death of others. Yeah, here we go. How is this even related to what he's just saying? Okay, fine. Oh, you have to accept the failure before you can have success. That fits in. Like,
Sure.
it actually doesn't, but it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
In that Richard had to be willing to die to get this. It is also one of the burdens of magic. You must accept the results, even death of others.
Oh.
Even death of others to
Oh, wow.
protect hope for the future. Selfishness costs the lives. The chances of those yet unborn? What are we talking about?
Is he just waxing poetic about how he let Darken Rahl live so that...
Yeah, I guess.
It's like he's like confessing and apologizing that he didn't kill Darken Rahl when he was a kid, and look how many people died, but it was worth it because you're here now. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of what...
I guess. I was just like, that seems really like a new topic.
Like, if I was writing this book, Richard and Caleb would be like, all right,
Okay.
old man. Like,
What?
all right, Zed. You okay?
But okay, so one of the burdens of magic, let's get this in our head before we proceed to some other things that happen. One of the burdens of magic,
Yeah.
you have to accept the results, which are often the death of others,
Yep.
to protect the hope for the future and the unborn. Okay, we'll cut that. I don't know what that means, but...
yeah, I mean, it has to do with prophecy probably too, but all right.
But it has to do with, I mean, that sounds applicable to everyone alive also, and the unborn, sure.
Yes, them too.
Okay, well, I don't know. Zed just slipped that in there. And then
Little rider element there.
Kaylin nods and says, I promise. So funny. It's just what he does. She's saying I promise to the paragraph before when he says you guys can't tell anybody.
Now she's swearing to the unborn.
He says that. And then he added that whole other paragraph about ironies of magic, accepting failure, the unborn, the death of others. And then she's still replying to the other
I know.
paragraph. She just goes, I promise. And Richard says, me too.
But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like when they kind of force like fourth graders to promise they'll never do drugs.
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't want to make your parents sad, right? So you'll never do cocaine, weed. It's just like, yeah. I can't even come to school by myself. Sure.
How is that related?
Well, because it's like an easy promise. Don't tell anyone. I won't. Because here's all the reasons, like you're shitty, and then your burdens and your...
I just felt like, but that topic didn't even seem related to telling anyone. He ended that.
Really.
He ended
Yeah.
that. He said, you can't tell them because you want others to have the opportunity to fall in love.
I get that.
And also, here's something else.
By the way,
Another thought.
sometimes with magic, you have to kill people to save unborn babies. I promise to kill people to save unborn babies.
Zed, Richard says, Zed, is it over? Darken Rahl, I mean, is he dead? Darken Rahl is...
You didn't seem terribly concerned.
No, not
so.
really. Darken Rahl is dead. You've gotten it right. I have never...
You've gotten it right!
I have never seen a performance to match it. Richard says,
Just a little twig.
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 Let me translate that for
Yeah.
you. I lied. More than a trick, my boy. More than a little. It was just acting.
Yep.
It was, you know, and Richard has struggled with that idea before. He didn't like the idea of it. They had to go into...
It was fake and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Terry learned things while writing this book, like while being Richard, and then like, and as he learned them, made Richard do them, but then made them tie into the magic system somehow.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so it's like he talked it over to his wife, and he's like, all right. So you're saying like, it's like little like you can kind of like put on little acts maybe, and like you're not really like doing a bad thing because sometimes you're doing it for good. And it's,
Right.
well, yeah, you can be, and it's just like Richard's a lying magician. He lies for the greater good. Wait, that's the first rule.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much how it feels.
That's how it feels.
Chase comes over.
Here we go.
Oh, I was so upset.
Yeah.
I was so upset. Chase is dragging Michael.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
All right.
He puts Michael in front of Richard. Michael's, despite it all, not scared.
Yeah. Why would you be?
He's defiant. He looks at Richard. He says, I'll not be treated in this manner, little brother. His voice as condescending as it's ever been. I love that he just... Fear doesn't affect him.
But that's not how he's been characterized, because he's just been a spineless bitch this whole time. But now
he's so brave.
Suddenly he's got a hard-on for being cocky in front of sheer insurmountable odds.
And then, we're going to get to the part where Richard's like, we both will die for what we believe in. And you're like, I've never got the sense Michael cared about.
And then he immediately doesn't. So I don't know.
Michael says, you don't know what you've interfered with, what I was trying to do. How I would have helped everyone by uniting Westland and Tahara. You have doomed other people to needless suffering that Darken Rahl could have spared. You are a fool. Does he really? I guess he believes that.
We could have gotten rid of fire, Richard.
We
were so close.
Which killed Mother.
Killed Mother. Not even your mom. Not even his mom.
Does Michael think it's his mom?
I think so. That's fucked up.
They just made this whole fabrication up.
Yeah.
They Wizard First ruled their boys.
They did.
They really did.
Happened right there.
That was the first Wizard's First rule in their life.
Michael and Richard getting... Oh, you thought that was your mom and dad? Idiot. Fucking idiot.
People are stupid. You thought that
Babies don't know anything. They're fucking morons. Wizard's First rule, child. You think that's your uncle? No way. That's just my friend. Fucking idiot.
Well, right. Why is Richard not... Why are we not like, oh, stupid, you didn't know Zed was your grandpa?
You're an idiot. You're a moron. What are you, 4? Grow up. Learn to use that brain.
I once said when he drops the info and he's like, Richard, I actually am your grandpa. I say, Wizard's First rule.
And Richard's kind of like, man, he got me.
He got me.
I didn't know about the
He said,
rules
then he's going to say, like, that was such a trick. I can't believe you tricked me.
That was a little trick, Zed.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're supposed to think Michael really believes that Tahara... And here's the thing, like, if I'm to believe him...
Yeah.
Perhaps that is an innocent belief that he has, right?
Yeah,
it's probably not.
I guess we're supposed to believe that he doesn't actually think that.
Why would he even say it then in this moment?
I don't know.
Why even say it in this moment?
It just kind of complicates things at the last second for no reason.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, it makes me... I'm like, well, Well, I've been asking, what does Michael really believe?
Yeah.
And this didn't really clear it up for me.
I'm not sure now. Now I almost think this is what he believes. And if it is what he believes... All right.
Well, that was dumb, but like...
He's on the wrong side of Richard, but maybe not inherently a bad person based on that.
Well, but how could you say he's not a bad person when you think about the loser's salute? Well, I guess because he is like, oh, you knew I was going to get Mord Sith, and you knew I was going to die, and you were willing to do that in pursuit of that belief?
Well, he says of self-gain, but if Michael really, which we don't believe because of the way he's been characterized, but if we really believe Michael thought like...
That's what I'm saying.
Darken Rahl was rolling over the Midlands like no problem.
Yeah.
Westlands were fucked, so I joined with him early so that we're not all slaughtered. I saw what he's doing. If you gave me Michael saying that, and it's like, it was worth torturing you to save the rest of the people back home, I'd be a lot more sympathetic right now.
It's a little interesting then,
And yeah, in a Game of Thrones type universe, you still put his head on a stick. But
Sure. But like, it does seem like...
I don't know.
Also coming off the heels, I guess, of Zed being like, sometimes you gotta kill people for the greater good. It's like, okay, like this?
Like this, but also like this
like
for
this,
Richard.
Like this, yeah.
I know. Because this is the good side of the coin. The bad side is believing Michael had any sort of goodness in him.
I guess I'm like, that's fine. Like, it could be that back and forth, right? Where it's like confusing.
Yeah.
But then Michael doesn't need to be characterized as such a buffoonishly evil man.
A lot of people didn't, besides Demon maybe.
Besides Demon, yeah.
So anyway, Richard pulls his sword, right?
Yeah, well, he thinks about all of everyone who died under Darken Rahl's rule and the suffering, the brutality. He points his sword at Michael, and Michael's eyes go wide, and he says,
"Give it to me, big bro."
He says,
"Give me..."
You just deliver it.
"The loser's salute."
And then Michael says, "I would rather die first."
And Richard says, Bet.
Yeah.
Bet.
Well, I hate this. Why? What does it say about Richard's character that his mind goes here in this moment. Like, what is that?
I don't know.
If he gave you the loser salute, would that have changed anything?
Richard's kind of the villain in this chapter, right? Like,
What?
what he did to Kaylin, what he's doing now to Michael, it's like...
This feels very like, I'm Master Rahl now.
I mean, he literally is.
I know. But even when he goes outside, he's kind of like he's being like a bit of a psycho, I think.
And they say that a little.
A little.
A little.
But is that... Okay, so once again, is that the point? Are we ever exploring, like, has the power gone to Richard's head? I think, if anything, it's just going to keep escalating, right?
You know how much I'd love these books if the next couple of books is, like, Richard devolving into, like, this, like, horrible, despotic...
I guess that's very, like, Dune. He could never. You're right. But also, Paul Atreides is not, like, evil. You know what I mean? I think he is eventually.
Oh, maybe. Sorry, I didn't read it.
Yeah, I would like to understand if part of this is supposed to be... Because, like, Richard telling Michael to get down and give him the loser salute, to me, reads like a villain, the beginning of his villain arc.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, I mean, you're just being like Michael, for one.
Like Mike.
Who we're supposed to, like, hate. And then it doesn't really mean anything, because I'm like, if he gave you your personal, like, little boyhood win, you would have been like, that stuff didn't matter so much
That's
anymore.
What's crazy. Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
what would have happened?
And then if you were going to kill him anyway, it's really psycho to be like, debase yourself before I kill you.
It's very Darken Rahl, though.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would love to know if the point of this is that we're supposed to start going like, is Richard, like, good? Like, did something happen with that Daharan web when he got in charge?
That, you know how fascinating that would be?
That would be awesome.
And, like, Kaylin, even, the way she is, like, immediately and then, like, directly after outside, like, she's so, like, enraptured with Richard. It's like, what if, like, all of this is, like, the effect of the palace with the... That would be really good. And then they get outside the city limits and she's like, I was kind of acting weird.
Yeah. That would
That's
be
a cool book, but we're not getting that book.
So anyway, I hate the loser salute. Oh God, I hate the loser salute all around. And the fact that we had to do it again is crazy. And it makes Richard's character very strange. And the fact that Michael would rather die than do it is quite the characterization.
That we immediately betray. Keep going.
Richard nods and he tries to turn the sword white to kill him with love. And it won't turn white.
Because he hurt other people.
And he says, I'm glad we have one thing in common, Michael. We'd both die for what we believe in. Then he tells Chase to execute Michael. That is unhinged behavior.
Yeah. But it's the same as back at the Fickleberry Inn or wherever the fuck they were.
Oh, innkeeper, sorry. You need to get your hands dirty and murder this man for me.
I think what you forget about Chase and the Boundary Wardens is they are dedicated to the Seeker. This is his personal army. Chase works for him now. You're forgetting. They literally only work for the Seeker for some reason. There's no reason for that to be true, but they have been saying it since the beginning.
I don't think it matters. I think that Richard, no matter what, would have asked Chase to do it. That's been his character.
Definitely.
He asked the innkeeper. He's got nothing to do with it.
Murder my brother for me, real quick. You're sovereign back home. Like, you're governor.
That is the most little bitch move
and not
only in the world.
Execute him, put his head on a pike. In front of his men.
Okay, is this things they do in Westland? Do they do things like this?
I don't know. We'll never know.
Like, that
Westland's culture will always be a mystery.
Like, okay, in the Midlands, if you have people doing that, you've written it in such a way that, I had to hear about the babies dying by having metal poles put on their necks.
Stepped on their necks, yeah.
So, yeah, they probably put people's head on pikes.
Sure.
Westland so far, all I've gotten is they've got nice buffets, pretty pastoral in nature.
It's like Hobbiton.
Literally, just like pretty peaceful.
That's it.
And your first instinct is put my brother's head on a pike. And he doesn't say that, actually. That's what happens, but I don't think he says it. He does say cut off his head, and we're going to give it to the personal... he says, take his head to the personal guard. Tell him he was executed by my order for treason against Westland. And then he says, Westland will have to find a new first counselor now. Why'd you say that?
Because we're killing this one.
Why did you say that? But yeah, he doesn't say put it on him. He's saying take his head somewhere, so I guess that's one way you could do it.
Yeah, is that worse? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe.
It is much worse than putting his head like in a bag and being like, oh, we're going to
Look in the bag. All right, here's the deal. That's your guy. He's dead now.
It's pretty fucked up to be like, cut off his head. And, like, where'd you get this from?
And then Chase just goes on his own being like, I know what I'm going to do with this thing. Fuck this guy.
I mean, granted, I'll say one of the most interesting little bits of characterization is Richard regretting that decision later on.
Yeah.
I was happy to see stuff like that. I would need, like...
This is in the same chapter. This is like 3 pages later. So, like, it's insane pacing. Kill my brother, take his head to his guard. Oh, I don't like seeing his head there. It happens like a page and a half later.
I can see getting like swept up in the thing of it all.
That's barbaric. Yeah, it's what you told him to do in a way. Like, I don't know.
He didn't say put it on a pole.
What, just do it, but don't let me see it? That's how, like, that's crazy. And then...
Yeah, but that's his whole fucking MO. Yeah, kill him, but don't let me see it.
Hide this, please. Yeah.
Hello?
I don't want to look at the bad things I'm doing. I don't want to look at Caitlin's Kandar. I don't want to...
I hate this man.
He's got that violence
I could not believe that. Like, to me, like, whatever he wants Richard to come across as, having other people execute people on his behalf is, like, the last thing I could imagine, like, characterization I can imagine giving him. He's no Ned Stark,
That he ain't. Literally so funny to start those two. That book.
I think he read this and he was like, huh? Ew. Then Michael, yeah, I don't know, just why he said, I would rather die than give you the loser salute. And then I guess it's just that he didn't think Richard would actually try to kill him. And then once he does, Michael screams and falls to the ground, giving the loser salute. Richard, please, I'm your brother. Don't do this. Don't let them kill me.
Which is just a salute from your knee.
I'm sorry, forgive me. I was wrong. Please, Richard, forgive me. Richard looks down and he holds the angel to feel the pain of it. And he said, right, to remind, because I think he's faltering in that moment. He wants to take it back, and he's like, I need to remind myself of what you put me through.
Yeah, I know. Wizards need pain.
Right,
blah,
he's like,
blah,
Darken Rahl
blah.
told you what he was going to do to me, but you were indifferent because it brought you personal gain. Again, does Michael think this is a good thing for the hope and continuation of the humans, or is he being selfish? Because you've presented me no actual... proof that he is being selfish.
That's the
other
point.
Than
you're
saying,
supposed to go with your, it's true, based on how I've characterized Michael in the past as a big
which
stupid
I
asshole.
suppose is accurate. Yeah, if he actually acted that crazy.
Yeah, sure.
He says, I forgive you everything you have done against me, but I cannot forgive you what you have done against others. We've done this.
I hate this line.
Many times.
It is stupid. It's not true. You didn't forgive him for shit. I don't believe it.
Well, you couldn't make the sword white, so obviously not.
Well, no, you can't make the sword white because of what he did to others.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to believe
which just means you can't forgive him because it didn't happen. I don't have the power to... So if everyone got together and forgave him, it would be okay?
That's what I'm saying. Right, what if Caitlin steps up, she's like, I forgive him.
I forgive him, I understand. He was trying to protect his country. But then everyone on Westlands is going to be like, he was helping us.
I'm supposed to believe that Richard really is able to overcome his years of resentment and anger towards this man, and I'm just like, no, you are just offsetting the guilt and the blame onto other people, and you don't have to own that you actually just want to fucking kill Michael because you hate this man,
and then you're not even doing it yourself,
not even killing him,
which tracks.
It is for those crimes you are to be executed, not the ones against me. I get that I'm supposed to read this and be like, he's Jesus,
so bold and brave.
What I read is, I don't want the burden of guilt that he died because of me. I think that they did it.
Martyr for thee, not for me.
Get the
There's
fuck
something
out
like
of
that.
here.
I don't know. Yeah.
Shut up. Michael screams and cries and Chase drags him away.
Like a cartoon.
Poor Chase. God. Richard's shaking. Honestly, that would have been so good when Kaylin
when she wrote
out of the room.
That would have been good.
Said it's like, son, let go of that angel. and he sees in Zed's eyes that they share pain. Kaylin's like, hey,
Hey, so...
you gotta keep that thing, the angel, on his necklace.
It's a big fucking, like... I need it.
Yeah.
It makes me feel cool.
She's like, oh, so are you keeping that or what? And he's like, well, yeah, for now, because it's a promise I made to somebody I killed. One who helped teach me how much I love you. Darken Rahl thought this would defeat me. Instead, it taught me how to defeat him. If I discard it now, I would be denying what is inside, what I am. Which, that logic will be irrelevant to the Mord Sith in a page or so.
Correct. Yeah.
That powerful attachment and symbol.
It's only important for me. I went through it for a month, and
their whole life.
They killed their parents. They fucked their dad.
Take it
or
away.
something. Yeah.
Take it away.
Take it away and just burn it.
Oh, Kaylin, the woman I confessed to.
Who I love more than anything.
Well,
I actually had another girlfriend for about a month.
I can't do that.
I can't.
No.
I'm not ready to part with my memory of her.
Don't ask me that. I'm confessed. But
And he
also,
had no. Yeah, in that moment when he was confessed, he had no confusion of just being like, "Do I just love Kaylin exclusively for the rest of my life? Like, is she the most important thing to me ever?" I mean, I really was in love with this woman that I killed like 2 days ago.
That's true.
I was.
Right.
Is this like a monogamous confession? Like,
I don't know. But yeah, I think it is absolutely wild that we come off the heels of Richard being like, I basically love you like I'm confessed. And then like this really minor ask, he's like, absolutely not. And it's really meaningful to me, actually. And then later, when he wants to get rid of all the Mord Sith angels, he's literally like, me going through it for a month, like, made it so deep and meaningful. I can't do that for Kaylin, but like, they'll get over it.
they have to, or I'll execute them.
Okay. So Kaylin says, right now I don't understand, but one day I hope I will. My God, he is putting her through it.
Yep.
So Richard's looking around the Garden of Life.
We really did it, boys.
Thinking about how he's avenged his father's death. He did the task that George almost certainly should never have put on his shoulders as a child. But he completed it, and his father can now rest in peace. Here comes Zed.
Oh, so long. Okay. You guys hungry? You want to go to Panera?
A place like this must have something to eat, don't you suppose?
Is that hole still open? Can I dive after Darken Rahl after hearing that? Can I still go to the underworld?
Richard puts an arm around Kaylin, an arm around Zed. That's setting the tone for the rest of this.
Oh, yeah.
As they leave to go to the dining hall, people sat at tables as if nothing had changed. But didn't they just get a psychic download that Darken Rahl is dead?
They did.
And Richard is their king now? And so they're not even looking at this man comes in, they're like, we just learned he's in charge. He's at the dining hall. Oh my God. They have no feelings.
I told you. The dining hall has a union. They don't have to act like
I'm talking about the
else.
people who are eating at the dining hall.
They're on break. It's people who work for Panera. It's all...
No, it's... Think about how nuts that is.
Listen, we got spice soup, which is the only soup that exists in this world.
They eat rice, vegetables, brown bread, cheese, and spice soup. And it is very funny that Erica reminded me in the comments of the last episode, like, oh wait, who hated cheese? It was Kaylin.
Kaylin hated cheese. Yep.
And then Richard tries to eat it. He's like, ew, it's disgusting.
It's the worst cheese I've ever had.
But then Zed likes the cheese, so the theory that it's magic users is out the window. I guess it might be like he took in some of Kaylin's something.
Genetic cheese aversion because her magic went into him.
I guess so.
Or something.
But yeah, but I'm really just hung up on like, why are all those people outside being like, our king? But everyone in the dining hall doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for you. I don't know.
Weird. What does that mean?
So they leave Panera. The bread bowl finished.
They ate it? Well, Zed certainly
Zed
did.
ate like 6. But you know who didn't get to eat? Chase. He's busy. He'll get to eat later.
Yeah, he's got to go find his daughter. Wherever she's at.
Wherever she's at. All right, yeah. So they start to leave the dining hall, and they're working their way out, and then the devotion bells ring.
Kaylin seems unhappy about
Immediately,
that.
Kaylin's like,
I hate this.
sheeple.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Look at these idiots.
Yeah.
Which Zed already felt that way before.
And once again, though, they did get the psychic download. Why are they still doing it?
To new Master Rahl.
Oh, I guess it's just Master Rahl.
It's Master Rahl.
Oh.
Master Rahl got us. That's Richard now. And Richard starts to think, ever since he changed the words
To
Kaylin guide me, he hasn't felt the need to do it anymore. He doesn't need to meditate anymore. He hasn't felt the nervous need to join the group.
I think he's just trying to create this juxtaposition between like when you really love someone versus like being forced to say you love someone.
Sure. I agree with that. But there's not a nervous need when you're being forced.
He's saying, though, like, even after the fact, like, once he had left and he came back, he still had that anxiety and, like, feel like...
I think that came from being forced at, like, torture point for, like, months.
Yeah.
To do it.
But he cured it.
Through love to his girlfriend. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. The weird part about it, though, is that, like, I really did think it was intriguing that he would find so much peace. Like, there were so many iterations of him chanting, and using that meditative space to work on a problem, get through something.
He solved a lot of problems that way.
And of course, I didn't take it as like, oh, it's because of Darken Rahl. I took it as like, oh, despite it being that, he's still meditating, and that's helpful. And I find it really weird that the conclusion of that is, I don't need to meditate anymore.
And also,
why not? That's not how that works.
The last time he did this was yesterday.
I know. What's he referring to? He's like, why not just be like, weirdly right now, I don't feel like doing it.
It's been about 24
hours.
Ever since I got back from Coachella on Tuesday.
I just haven't felt the need
I haven't felt the need to meditate.
Well, maybe you will.
It's a day later.
You will in a week.
Maybe if everything wasn't going super well for you right now, you would, though.
Right. But, like, I just was like, oh, so that didn't mean like, that wasn't meaningful?
Yeah.
Him learn when he was stuck in the cave and used meditation to get through it?
Not as meaningful as taking a shot.
Now he no longer has...
Sheeple. I don't know.
I saw when I read it. I was like, oh, he won meditation.
He beat it.
He beat it. He doesn't need it anymore.
And he got an S+. He
just took it in. Like, he was just like all the benefits. I don't have to keep practicing it or doing it. I just have it.
I see what it is now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got it now. Yeah.
And then, they're like passing multiple squares. Again, I love that Kaylin's like so judgmental. Just like, ew.
Idiots.
And then Richard wondered if he should do something about it to stop them. But decided at last he had already done the most important part.
What, killing Darken Rahl?
I guess. I'm like, first of all, you, sir, found all these benefits from doing it. Why are you trying to take it away from them now?
And you already did the most important part. You are also getting a magic buff right now by letting it happen.
I know.
You're like, I thought I'd stop it, but... It feels pretty nice.
But I should still, of course, allow people the opportunity to meditate in these nice squares because I have found great peace and wisdom in the process, right?
Yeah. All right, we get outside. And we glance out and fields of armies. Just as far as the eye can see, we have Michael's personal guard.
Right.
Who, whatever, had another name.
Thousands of men.
Thousands of men. And then the Westland's army, even bigger. And then the Daharan guard, all waiting. Silently. Oh my God. You can hear a man cough a quarter mile away. That's what he said.
And Chase is standing in front of them, arms folded next to a pole planted in the ground with Michael's head atop it. This is unhinged. Unhinged.
And who's with Chase? Who had to watch that shit?
Oh, Rachel's there.
Rachel's there. Hey, my adoptive daughter. Hi. Wait a second. I need to cut this man's head off and put it on a stick. That won't scare you, right, child? You have your doll.
She doesn't care.
Doesn't even react to it.
Okay, I thought this was an interesting little piece in it. Zed's hand on his back started him down the steps. it felt a little too much like a push. Intriguing.
I agree.
Intriguing characterization for Zed.
Richard wants to just be a woods guide, but he has too much good blood to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Kaylin grabs his arm. They walk down. That's when Richard notices Rachel next to Chase. She's holding the doll, and Sidon is holding the other arm of the doll.
They're sharing Sarah. So sweet.
And then Sidon runs to Kaylin,
and they're jabbering back and forth. That's what we called it.
Captain of the Home Guard steps forward and says, "The Home Guard stands ready to swear loyalty to you, Richard, as does the Westland Army, as do the Daharan forces.
And my axe."
And so Richard's like pissed. He's like, "No one's swearing loyalty to anyone, least of all me. I'm a woods guide, nothing more. Get that through your heads right now. A woods guide."
No.
Then he looks...
You're a wizard, Richard.
He looks up at Michael's head on the pole. "Bury that thing with the rest of them right now." I'm like, oh my god, he's going through it. I am glad he's reacting like he's not just immediately being like, "And I am king."
Yeah.
Although he's like underhandedly acting like I am king.
He's king. He's kinging.
But he's also not. He's being like...
Yeah, look, he's trying to waffle and not take responsibility. And, get rid of that. I don't want to look at that. I won't command you. Take these commands.
Yeah, but so that must be intentional, right?
We'll see.
That Richard is struggling.
We'll see. We'll see how much intention we get.
So here goes his plans. He tells the Daharan general that the war and all hostilities are ended. Everybody needs to go back to their homelands.
Holy shit. Rainbows start flying over the palaces of Dahara. Keep going.
Every man who has committed crimes against defenseless people, whether he be a foot soldier or general, to be put on trial, and if found guilty, punished according to the law.
War crimes. Get them all. Punish them.
You know...
Which law? Daharan law, Midland law, Westland law,
don't you want to know what the Daharan law is before you make that determination? But also... You know who sounds like they would fit into that description?
Who?
The Mordsith.
Yeah.
Committed crimes against defenseless people, whether he be foot soldier or general. Why are they exempt?
They're not in the army. It's totally different. Foot soldiers and generals...
They are kind of in the art.
Foot soldiers and generals were never raised from birth in a certain climate or social thing, putting pressures on them to be brutal. No way. It's not like the army rewarded that.
It literally is just Richard being like,
this is worse than like a Brandon conclusion.
Oh, yeah.
And like that's kidding? Nutty. Like the way like that? In like Atlantis, like everything like coming to a head in this like deeply like almost like Christian way.
Yeah.
Where like everything just resolves.
It's the Mormonism.
The Mormonism of it all. This is worse. No, this is like
it's that at least
this is like Disney
when
level.
When he does it, I'm like, for the most part, I'll be like, it's kind of sweet. It kind of tickles the thing.
And that faith carried through the whole book, like in a way. It's like darkness and then light. Mm-hmm. This is like...
I get that we do touch on it because later Zed's like, I don't feel like your plans are going to work.
Yeah.
Which I agree. But like, I just cannot believe the thing with the Mordsith. And I just want to know if we're going to explore it. Are we going to be like, Richard... Your devotion to curing them is hypocritical with how harsh you are on everyone else.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna... Well, I don't know.
And, like, I get it, because I do feel like he kind of puts it in a way, like, when he really starts talking about the Mordsith, it is in this overly emotional way. So you, like, definitely get the sense that Terry's aware, like, he is asking for all of these things out of his trauma.
Yeah.
And again, though, that is not objective. It is not objectivist behavior. And as the seeker of truth, who's supposed to be the objectivism guy, he's doing not that. And so I don't care if he's we're intentionally being like, he's not being objective. That's the point. That's what we're exploring. But if Terry is going to be like, no, Richard's right. That is objective. Sparing the Mordsith. No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's literally not. Yeah.
So that's, depending on how he wants me to feel about it is how I feel about it.
And are we going to deal with the just sheer numbers thing of like actually prosecuting
All these
every
people?
unrecorded war crime in your army? How are you even going to do
Well,
it?
that's the thing. Like, do we have this like plot and arc dealing with the fact that Richard is asking for idealistic, unrealistic things, and the practicality of that he needs to learn? Is that a part of this story?
Why do I feel like it started that way, but then didn't
Yeah,
have
but then
the,
it's
like...
so crazy because then it's like Terry's always kind of like coming down hard on like bureaucracy and all these people with their rules and their this and it's kind of like, well, how do you expect any of this to happen?
Terry
without
came down
that?
hard on a small, poor town that got raided by an army, which is like POWs he's coming down on. So like, much less bureaucrats.
Yeah, right. He says Jaharan forces have to get food for people who would otherwise starve during the winter, which I was like, how very socialist of him. And fire is no longer outlawed.
Flames
Woo!
be like, we are so back, baby.
Yeah. He tells the Westland army to join the Jaharan army to help them get food out to the people. The two guards are standing there while he says it. Then Richard's like, it won't get done if you don't get to it. They salute and bow.
Loser salute.
They say, by your command, Master Rahl. Richard's like, what? Why are they calling me that? They must just be used to saying that. Richard notices the guard who he originally talked to at the gate when he first left the People's Palace, who was like nice to him. And he's like, I have a job for you. He tells him to collect every last Mordsith.
He says, I have a job that I think you'd be good at. Why would he be good at it?
He just liked him.
Then he tells him to gather the Mordsith.
And the guy says, yes, sir, they'll all be executed.
Before sunset, I'm killing them all. Which, like, can you? All right.
Which, he's not crazy. Based on everything the man just said, that would be the conclusion. So he says...
Yeah, wait, actually, this man is just following the plot.
That's what I'm saying.
This man's like, all the war criminals, and he wants them too.
They're part of the war
all
criminals.
Right, I know he was tortured, so I guess we all talk about it. We all think that.
He said anyone who hurt defenseless people.
We've all discussed that. They're bad. We think that. We're just scared of them. But yeah, we'll get them killed.
He says, no, I don't want them executed. Destroy every last angel. I don't want to see an angel ever again. No. Except mine.
Only my pain. Only my suffering.
Oh my God.
Only my trauma.
Are you kidding me? You're attached to an angel. You can't comprehend that these women might also be way more attached.
Of course they are. Of course they are. It's the one that broke them that they have to use.
What are you talking about? You would have to be like, guess what? I'm putting my dick on the line too. Of course I'm getting rid of mine. For that to make any sense.
Yeah. This doesn't need to be discussed at the end of this book. The way you're trying to wrap things up, this could be like, I need to think about what to do with the board and leave it for another book. You don't need to do this unless you're just showing him being like insane and rash.
I think maybe. I
do know, at least in the earlier books, the first 3 or 4, Richard really is like constantly being like shown that he's kind of dumb.
Okay, so then maybe he's being dumb right now.
Maybe he is.
I think he is.
Maybe he is. I mean, and I think the Chase Zed thing where they're kind of like, oh, look at him
I think he's being dumb. Maybe it's intentional. But, like, it makes me really not like him. Especially things like this where he's like, not mine. Not mine.
Well, I know.
Shut up.
He's a bad boy. But they have to get new clothes.
Yes,
we're going to burn all their leathers.
All their
red,
clothes.
brown, and white. But we need to treat them with kindness and respect.
Not the foot soldiers, though.
Kindness and respect?
That's what the guard says. They are to be given jobs helping people. That is the craziest.
So that they can learn the golden rule.
Imagine.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
This is like a 90s comedy movie of like the like nursery, the elementary school children, and they like bring in a Mordsith and they're like, here she is, she's gonna like love the children, and she's always like trying to figure it out. Like, I just,
and like 20 seconds later they're all crawling on top of her and she like starts laughing and like, oh look, we solved it. Well, like, we cured her.
That is going to end really badly.
This is a solution I would come up with in 7th grade. If they're like, they explain more Sith in like real surface details.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think we should do? Well, they got to learn to treat others like how they want to be treated, you know? So we gotta help them learn that. Then they'll be good. What are you doing, Richard? You've fucked one of these women. You went to bed with her a lot.
Yeah.
They tortured you into insanity.
Yeah.
You forgot who you were. You forgot about trees.
We're just releasing them onto the people.
You forgot about trees. And now you're gonna just be like, make them work at Goodwill.
They have to go. Anyone who needs help, the more Sith will
Get
be
them
there.
get them in Panera. They gotta serve
They're not
spice soup for a bit.
They're not gonna do anything bad.
Oh man.
They are to be taught to treat people in the same way they are treated, with kindness and respect. Yeah.
See, like the Mords are an insane concept to be applying this to, but like think about it. Like take the gang members, take their guns, and force them to work in the soup kitchen. Like, how insane are you? And these are totally different than that. These are way worse than that.
That's not my gun.
Not my gun. Not my gat. And if they say no,
he says no. I don't know how you're to do that. You'll just have to figure it out. You look like a bright fellow, all right.
what? Why does he look bright? All right. And if they say no, what's going to happen to him?
If they say no, tell them that if they choose to stay on the same path instead of taking another, then they will find the seeker with the white sword at the end of the road.
Because I can always forgive them, even if they keep fucking around.
I put them in the orphanage. They like fuck up these kids. I'm like, don't worry.
Constance was the only bad
Don't
one.
worry. I got the white sword for you,
Why did you put the white sword?
Because he's always loving them. But like, isn't that okay? This whole framing, right, of like, take away their angels, force them to be nice, and if they won't be nice, I will kill them. Is this like dramatically different than like Darken Rahl forcing everybody to be like, we love you? Like you're just forcing them to do that, right?
And not once is he questioning really, why is everyone listening to me?
Well, they all pledged allegiance to him
Why?
because he killed Darken Rahl.
He didn't really. Darken Rahl killed himself.
Yeah.
They can't understand the complexities of what went on in there.
Right, but I guess
a
he's
lie,
like,
a little trick.
Zed and Chase came out and were like, he killed Darken Rahl, and he was like, oh, that's why they love me now.
Yeah, all right.
I don't know.
The man smiles and bows smartly. Because we just keep insisting that this man is smart. I just thought it was the weirdest, like we said smart 3 times. Like, he looked like a smart man. You seem smart. He bowed smartly. What do you mean bowed smartly? My liege.
I think it could mean, like, the word can be used to mean, like, in a very fine manner.
Sure, it could, but it's weird to do it when you just did it 2 other times
Right.
in this paragraph.
They want to get across how competent he is.
So smart. And why is he smiling? That was another thing. He smiles and bows smartly. He is smiling at Richard saying the Seeker. What is a Seeker to this man? With a white sword. What does that mean to this man? This is a foot soldier at the gate.
End of the road.
It's like him being like a glory wizard with his staff of Irunya. We'll be waiting for it. And he's just like, yeah. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, you're right.
Like
Oh
that,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah. Fuck, I love this guy. I know what he's saying. Yeah. Bow.
Oh my god.
He's so goddamn smart. They're so cool, this guy. You don't know what a Seeker is. What is the white sword? He's like, oh shit, I don't know. All right. Yes, sir. Howdy doody. Like, what are you talking
Oh my
about?
God.
Yeah. We're
So-
delirious. We are pushing the limit here.
Zed tells Richard angels are magic and cannot just be
You can't,
destroyed.
which I think is a metaphor, so that's cool. I like that. I think it's literal, but also like
Yeah.
you can't just get rid of angels.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So like, there is some awareness of Richard being crazy right now.
And then Richard goes on a little shitty rant.
Like, then help him, Zed. Help him destroy them or lock them away or something. I don't want anyone to ever be hurt by an angel again. And Zed's like, I can help you do that, my boy. I think because he feels sad for him. And Zed's like, do you really think it's gonna work? Like, your plan here to have the forces go home? And then he's like, Richard says, probably not. But you can never tell about your first rule. I don't know what that means. And it should gain time until we can get everyone home again and put the boundary back up. Then we'll be safe once more. Then we'll be finished with magic. How is he just bringing Kaylin with him?
Richard, you're zipping into Dahara, killing their leader, and then just hiding again. Like,
well,
not my problem.
I guess that's his, that'll be his arc, kind of. Here she comes, Scarlet.
Yeah, okay. Dragon lands in the middle of everybody. Richard, my baby, hopping from one foot to the other. Like a literal cartoon Barney. Like, Richard, boom, 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 Richard. The armies are like, what the fuck?
It's such a, it just makes me unable to picture the whole thing other than it's like a little kid cartoon is what I'm imagining in my head now.
We counted shadows. We're playing in the sand block.
I couldn't believe she was hopping.
She's hopping from one foot to the other.
My egg hatched. It's a beautiful little dragon, as you said it would be.
As you said it would be.
I want you to come see it. It's so strong. I bet it flies within a month. Then she notices all the army men. And she's like, are we having
trouble here? Do we need some dragon fire?
No, everything's fine. Well, then climb up. I'll take you to see the little one. Why does she not care to know if the world is ending or not?
Doesn't give a fuck. She
she
felt it. She's like, yeah, all right.
She was like, I'm dropping you off here to...
Darken Rahl was going to either end the world or enslave everyone or die.
And also had previously enslaved her, and she just got free. She flew right back to him.
And her baby hatched.
She left him.
So she just left her newborn baby immediately. And I assumed at least a few days to fly, which doesn't make sense.
To get Richard.
Where is the baby in comparison to the People's Palace that she can just get in and out?
Why not? She could do that in a day.
The baby's safe from Darken Rahl, 1 day's journey.
You're the one who said, I questioned this, and you were like, oh,
I didn't think it was that close. I thought it was a while away,
You said it was magic.
Well, I guess it must be. I guess I was right. I don't know.
Why? She doesn't want to spend time with her child. She's thinking about Richard.
Her tone has shifted 1,000,000% to the cheeky, I'm still wanting to eat you, to what we get here.
Well, being a mother has changed her.
Of course.
Yes.
Red MILFs love Richard.
She said, this is her equivalent of having her Mordsith clothing burnt and her Angel thrown away.
You're right.
This is how you become. You just become a little lady.
Yep.
I just don't... The lack of gravitas is crazy to me. Where, the lead up, the only reason she let him fly on her, the only reason she did everything was because she was like, I see, the world's ending. And she just does not give a flying fuck to come in and be like, what happened with that?
Flying fuck. Yeah, it's done.
Richard's like, I'll come if I could bring Kaylin. And then Kaylin, oh my god. Kaylin says, first she's like, oh, we need to bring Sin home. His parents are worried, yes.
Fair, yeah.
But then she says, and we have unfinished business in the spirit house. I believe there was still an apple there we have yet to finish. You're horny right now?
That's all she's got going on right now.
You're horny right now.
And you know what?
Sure? Are you sure about that?
You know? Yeah. She is.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
She's been
She's literally... Wait, there's no negative consequences, seemingly, for her being in Kandar and being able to, not sleep or eat.
She was, being knocked out for, I guess 12 hours while Michael held her with a knife to her throat. And then she recovered.
She's horny.
And now she's horny. Yeah. It makes sense. The Daharan Panera is just absolutely wild with the aphrodisiacs.
It did bring to question. I was like, oh, well, they can't get a new apple unless they go to the Westland. And I was like,
Good point.
Are you suggesting that apple is still there? The
Spirit
one
House
apple
has, preservatives for the apple,
dead.
For the dead. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now you get it.
Richard's breath catches. He's like, oh my god.
Damn, you want a fog? Holy shit.
He tells Scarlet, he's like, oh, Sidon, this boy was stolen, and like as condescending
whatever.
as
whatever.
No, because he's like, you wouldn't like want to not see your baby, right? I'm like, why are we always like manipulating her?
I don't know. She's smart. She understands things.
And so she's like, he's like, oh,
and you brought Darken Rahl to kill her, like people in his village, so you owe him. That was part of it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, he was stolen because you brought Darken Rahl to the mud
She
people.
knows she should know Sidon. Darken Rahl carried him on the dragon.
He's already
She should be like, oh yeah, I know this little dude. What's up, bro? Like,
yeah, whatever. He's like, oh, we gotta go see your baby, and then maybe you could bring him home. And she's like, sure. Zed comes up. He's like, you would let a man fly on you? A red dragon.
why? Why does Zed? We just need someone to have the opinion.
Scarlet says, a man? No. This is the Seeker. He commands me?
Whatever. Sure. We're just fucking.
I would fly him to the underworld and back?
Every chapter, Terry's just like, who can I fuck over now? Like, what old character can I just make an idiot, blabbering, liar, fucking whatever?
Richard should not command this dragon. I'm so sorry. That's fucked up and weird.
Up until now, has never expressed opinions like this. She has always said, I'm gonna eat you. And, like, we know it was a little cheeky. But he commands me?
Sorry, what?
He is my dominant. I am his dragon slave. He is Master Rahl, master of this, dare I say, gleaming,
she said,
glossy scaled.
Meet DF37, him, M,
What's
27.
What's DF?
Dragon female.
37?
I don't know. She seems older, but like not.
Well, yeah, I just assume dragons are like thousands of years old. You're right, though. How do we know?
I don't know.
37. She's giving 37.
So they all, Richard, Caitlin, and Sidon get on her back. He says, take care to Zed. And then Richard says, Birdman will be happy to know I have finally taken a mud woman as my wife. Birdman?
What? Who gives a fuck about Birdman right now? Sorry to this man. Who cares about Birdman?
Why is he on your brain?
Why are we thinking... Oh, yeah, I'm just thinking about Birdman now.
Zed tells him to find him in Idendrill. Come when you're ready. They agree to have a long talk. Says, to the sky, my friend. That's what Richard
To
says.
the sky, my red friend. To the road, my black friend. Like, what are you doing? Why are you saying that? To the sky, my red friend. She knows she's red. We don't need to say it.
Oh my god.
Just to the skies, my friend. To your child. Let's go. To the sky, my red friend. My red friend.
Okay, so they leave.
Yep.
Zed watches them leave. Chase is like, Richard gives a lot of orders for a woods guide. So
That was kind of funny to me.
Okay, yeah, because
Chase is getting personality a little bit back, and honestly, that was weird.
It was.
We need to comment on it.
I don't know. Is Chase okay after beheading Michael? I don't know.
Chase is fine. He don't give a shit about Michael.
Then this is such a weird tone.
I don't know. The whole ending is just like, tune in next time for quirky Zed shenanigans. And we get two whole different weird things, right?
A little bald man comes running out down the stairs. He's saying, Wizard Zorander!
Wizard Zorander! Wizard Zorander!
And they have the most annoying back and forth.
Can I sum it up? Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, so the crypt is melting. And Zed's like, Bags, what do you mean? The crypt is melting? And he's like, yeah, the walls, they're melting in the crypt. The penis' crypt is melting.
Well, yeah, but so many things. So, like, Zed's going like, what crypt? What do you mean? You're at a line of wizards, major castle. You don't think they have a crypt? Or once you hear they have a crypt, you can't figure out it's just their crypt?
What crypt? The crypt! Oh, the crypt.
Yeah, what are you asking? But he says, yeah, the walls are melting. Zed's like, do you have white stone on hand from the quarry of the prophets? Yeah, this is all just like setting up
another story, another book
for you to go like, what's that? Which it kind
and they're like,
worked.
They're like, of course we do.
Yeah, they're like, hell yeah.
We're like, more world building in this half a page than the entire.
It did kind of work though.
Yeah, I know.
Like in that way, it's also like stupid. Yep. So he tells him to seal it shut, or the entire palace will melt.
Zed goes from not knowing what palace to not what crypt to the entire palace is going to melt down if you don't stop this.
But also, like, Zed's just being so weird. Like he after this, he just goes to eat more, and I'm like, why? Why didn't you go help?
Why didn't you go do it?
He's like, you gotta seal it, you gotta mix it in, and then you gotta make sure that you do it before the sun sets, and you gotta seal.
Well, we're all fucked.
But I'm like. Go help.
I'm grabbing a quick second lunch because if I don't eat, it's gonna be a problem. And you gotta fix this. And if you don't, I'm out of here.
Like, oh my god. Okay. I don't know what I just wrote. Maybe Zed should help. ..
I don't think he cares to. All right, so whatever. He runs off to do that. Yeah, another guy.
And he's like, "Oh, I gotta talk to Master Rahl." Zed's like, "Well, he left." And then he's like, "Okay, well, is he coming back?" He's like, "Yeah, he's coming back at some point." And then the guy goes, all right, well, it doesn't matter because usually Master Rahl's not here anyway. Why did we talk?
We're used to that. Yeah, I don't know. At
the last page, that's what you gave me? Okay. And Zen says, it's like, where can I eat? Then
Chase finally gets to have lunch.
He's like, oh, come on and eat with me. Chase and Rachel, they go to the dining hall. Then Zed says after this, he's going to see Addie. Chase is like a little rest and relaxation.
Go to the bone zone. Like
this, Zed says, this is verbatim. That, and I must take her to Idendril to the Wizard's Keep. We have a lot of reading to do. Chase says, why would you want to take Addie to Idendril to the Wizard's Keep to read? Why are you it's literally copy and paste sentence. I would do this. Why would you do that exact thing? Why not just say, why? Why?
How come?
Also, what do you mean why? Even if there was no real reason, it just could be a nice thing for wizards to do.
I don't even need to know about Idendril anything. You say that to me, I go, must be where the books are, where the wizards are.
And, well, the last line here says, because she knows more about the underworld than anyone alive. And it catches you. It's not a good last page by any means.
No, it's like an objectively bad one, but it does what you want a last page to do.
It's cheap, but it works.
It works.
It works in making you go like, okay, well, I kind of want to read the next one.
You want to crack Stone of Tears immediately.
It's also just like not good.
No, that was bad.
And that is it.
Guys, 4 hours.
My throat hurts. We did this
all in one take.
I obviously want to talk about our feelings, but we are just going to save that.
Yep.
We're going to sit, we're going to reflect, marinate on it, and then we're going to come back, and the next episode will just be sitting and just, I don't know, reflecting.
Episode 50, will just be
thinking about everything we just
on the first rule of wizards.
That was crazy.
I also just realized that Jerry Goodkind is credited for taking the photo of Terry.
Well,
it's kind of nice. It says her name right there.
It was an iconic photo, Jerry.
It absolutely was.
Everyone remembers it. It's funny. I was talking to someone on Instagram who was like gonna read the books but hasn't yet, and they were like, "That like picture of him is really intense." I was like, "Yeah, it is. It really is."
It's like one of the most striking things.
I don't know. I don't even know. It's like I can't even start.
No, there's too much. So we have to. Our last episode will be unpacking from this, and then the whole thing as a whole. And then just thoughts, feelings, etc.
Yeah, about everything. If you guys want,
for
that last episode, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss in particular, you want to request, you could email us, you could fan mail us, you could email. I said email. You could email, you could fan mail, you could Instagram, DM, comment, YouTube comment. I don't care. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, just be like. Official question.
No, you don't have to even.
Just say question for Frank and Lauren.
Something like that.
Via the Rahl mail. It has to be via Rahl mail.
Yeah, if you have
shout out, whatever
questions about even just like podcasting about our life, about wanting us to give an opinion on any of this, about other books. I don't care. Literally, ask me whatever you want. if you would like to ask them, we will answer them in the next episode. If nobody asks any questions, doesn't matter. I'm sure we have a bunch of
way
shit
too much
to
shit to say
anyway.
All right, guys.
Okay,
love you.
We gotta go.
Thanks for coming on this journey.
Yeah, thanks
this
for watching
long journey.
much of
so
this.
much content, hours and hours. I've had a blast.
Yeah, it was the best.
Yeah, and
we're coming back. So
as unmotivated as I am right now to say it, thank you, Terry.
Aw, thank you, Terry.
You've done a thing.
You did something for sure. You did something for sure.
We had a good time.
I'm glad it. Yeah, even.
I'm very happy it exists.
Still glad it exists.
Absolutely.
For sure that.
Well, love you guys.
Okay, love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.